Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday early afternoon. Starting a little bit later today because we have a special guest, and this was the time that worked for her availability. So she'll be in here in about 10 or 15 minutes. But first, update on where I'm at. If you've been keeping up with me, you know that I was behind for a couple weeks because the last two pages I worked on for D vs. M 1979 were brutal, just really, really, really slogs. So I was fed up. I was about a solid day behind, no matter what I just no matter what I did. One day behind, one day behind. And every Saturday morning I was coming on here to live stream, and where normally I like to be starting a new page Saturday mornings, I was always at least it was going to be a new page Sunday. And I was sick of it, so sick of it that I actually burned a PTO day this week just to get caught back up. So I'm on schedule again. I'm back on schedule. Let's see how long I can hold on to it. And I'm out of the hell pages, which were the pages with soldiers and German shepherds and weird like gas effect, just all sorts of stuff that's just kind of a pain in the ass to get looking right visually. So, and I think I told you either last time or the time before, if I can get through page 34 and 35, it'll be way easier to stay on schedule for a while. And still there, as I've said before, there are very few easy days left when I'm looking at the pages that are left to draw in this book, but not as much of a monster as those past two. So those are done. That's great. I started page 36 this morning, laying it out, figuring out like, where my just very rough pencils. Well, pencils, it's digital, but it's like me kind of like, okay, this character will be here and this will be here. And, just giving me a sense of where things are going to go. And feeling pretty good. This page that I'm starting today, I think, barring life, I should be able to finish before next Saturday morning. So when we tune in next time with special guest Keith Foster next week, mark your calendars, I should have already started page 37. That's the reasonable goal to set, which is good because 37, it's not going to be as bad as the pages I just did, but it's going to be a pain. So there's a lot of little fussy fiddly work to do on the last panel of page 37. But then 38 and 39 are very, very manageable, I think. No easy days left. We're getting into like this is where, if you've read a D versus M, you know how it typically goes. It starts slow, it kind of introduces you to characters, it gives you a sense of what's going on, it gives you a vibe, gives you a feel, and then it like gradually ramps up, and then in the last third or so, like everything falls apart. And that's kind of the stage I'm at with this one, where everything falling apart means a lot of involved drawing. So anyway, 30 and 39 are among the difficult pages to draw manageable. But then it just is bumpy road after that. But the end is in sight. The end is in sight. No time soon. I'm not ready to talk about release dates for D vs. M 1979, other than what I've said in the past. Probably late Q1 2023. Like, that's where I'm at. I know for people watching, especially people who are anticipating it, that might sound like doesn't make sense to say like, oh, like end is in sight 4 or 5 months from now. It's first of all, it's because it's page a week. So even if you're talking about like, oh, I only have 50, I'm not saying this is the number, but oh, there's only 15 pages left or something. It's 15 weeks. That's a lot of drawing. So like out of a 50 or 60 page book, yes, you can say I'm close to the end. but it's still. And then remember, drawing the last page doesn't mean go buy it on Etsy now. There's stuff to do after that. I need to set it aside for at least a week and kind of step away from it. So then I can pick it up with some slightly fresh eyes to go through for like edits and changes I need to make. I got to read it through beginning to end and see like I got to tweak that. And her hair is too long and his shoulders are too big and this is too dark, whatever, like all the little tweaks I want to make. And then I got to do the introduction and all the supplemental stuff that goes into every D versus M, and then I got to do the cover. I got to send it off to Comics Wellspring. I got to wait for a physical proof. And then when the physical proof shows up, even if there's no changes, then it's like, okay, send it. And then you got to wait for it to print. And you got to wait for it to show up. And then I got to back and forth. And blah, 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 blah. This is how you end up with end of Q1, even though I'm saying like, it's getting there. It's getting there. Doing a comic is geologic time. It's a different, to me, it feels like I'm close. To you out there, it might seem like this is not close, but it's I'm well past halfway, and that feels pretty good. I'm on the downhill slope. All right, let's see. Get down on it. Remind the people where and when our next top 5 shall be. Guys, in case you're wondering, what is he even talking about? Jim and I, our next top 5 is Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Top 5 personal favorite fast food picks. Again, we say this every time with top 5. Our personal favorites. This is not top 5 fast food items of all time. Inarguably, if you pick something else, you're wrong. These are our personal favorite top 5 fast food picks. Our comfort fast foods. I think we'll ask our guest today her top 5. I think she's nodding in the green room right now. Start thinking top 5 fast food picks. So we're very excited. We've been working on it. We took this week off, so we've had extra time to really, really meditate on Big Macs and fries and tacos and all those things, and to make this next episode even more special. Even though everyone has an opinion on top 5 fast food items, we're bringing in a very special guest, Chris Ward. If you're familiar with Chris Ward, you are already excited. If you're not, you should be excited. He's a hilarious guy, and he is so down for this topic. He is so excited. He cannot wait to talk about his favorite fast foods. So it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It'll probably be a slightly longer episode because 3 people in the mix, but we're very excited. We're very excited, and I think it's going to be one of the best top 5s yet. Wednesday, 8 p.m. This channel. Tune in. It's going to be great. Think about yours. What is your favorite fast food item of all? Jim had a good way of framing this. Let's imagine you walk into a room. There's a conference table of every fast food item imaginable. Hot, fresh, right there. What are the 5 you're going to pick to eat at this weird, probably your last meal before they put you in the electric chair. I don't know how else this would happen, but like that's, and this is good. This channel right here, it's already set up. You probably see it if you go to my channel. I don't know. I forgot how it shows up, but it's there. Get ready. And then the rules for the picks. Okay, yeah, this is important, Laurie. Only 1 pick per category of food. So for example, you can't pick like your top 5 cheeseburgers. If you have a cheeseburger in there, or any kind of burger, not even just cheeseburger, a burger, that's the only burger. You've used up your burger slot. So you got to think of like categories of fast food: fries, burgers, chicken sandwiches, tacos, whatever the thing is. But it's only one per. You can't do all like 5 favorite fries. Just for the questions that have come up when we've been discussing it, curly fries, it's all fries. You got to pick one. On the other hand, if one of your picks is like chili cheese fries or something, that's separate. We decided if you have to eat it with a fork, it's no longer in the fry category. So it's, you just, but one per category, one per genre of fast food. Breakfast sandwich, shake, whatever. Okay, let's see here. Burgers, burger slot. I don't know. I would try it. I would go all the way. I would try burger slut. I would try that. I want to know what that's about. Sounds fascinating. All right, let's get to our guest. So this is someone that we were talking a little bit about this before I went live. I want to talk about it more while we're live later. She's promoting her book, and I've never seen someone hustle as hard as Laurie Calcaterra. Like every weird comic channel on YouTube, I bet she's popped up talking about her Kickstarter. It's pretty impressive. So most of you, I would think, if you're watching this, you've probably encountered her on one of these other shows. But if not, I am very happy to introduce the creator and writer of Path of the Pale Rider. There we go. Laurie Calcaterra. How are you, Laurie? How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a crazy Saturday. I've been running around doing a bunch of things and trying to get ready for Comic-Con and next weekend and taking kids
So which
to softball.
Comic-Con?
I'm going to be at Cowtown in Fort Worth. So
okay.
If you guys are in
Is
Dallas
that where you're
area.
Are you in Texas? Are you?
Yeah.
Where at?
We're in Prosper, which
specifically
is
your address. Where are you? No, I mean like what?
In that case,
what city are you? Dallas, Fort Worth. Is that?
We're like an hour north of Dallas. So if people are familiar with like Frisco and Plano, there's a little town called Prosper that if you McKinney, like I don't know, those are like that's like where we're at. If you know where they're moving like the new PGA golf course and headquarters, that's like across a main street from me, and that's not far. So yeah, so our town is so tall you can blink and miss it. But
so are you? I'm assuming, like all of us, writing indie comics is not your full-time thing. What do you do when you're not writing comics?
Actually, writing indie comics is my full-time thing.
Fantastic.
As of November of last year, I left my job so I can focus on just writing comics and promoting and building Path of the Pale Rider. That's why you see me on all the things, because I have time to do it.
That's amazing. Well,
thank you.
Now I kind of want to hear, but before we get into all that, before we get to Laurie, why don't you, people, writer, give your pitch, your Comic-Con. This will be a good rehearsal for your Comic-Con. Your pitch, what this is about, what it is, and you have a Kickstarter going right now.
Right.
You should tell people about that.
Absolutely. So Path of the Pale Rider is a Western apocalypse. This world, the death process is broken. So we say we have zombies, but it's not the same. So your body can die, but your soul or your energy or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't leave your body when it dies. So you get to stick around and enjoy your own decay phase. So your brain and your body it's gross. So you get to, you don't get to leave. Like animals, insects, people, it's for everything that is alive death is broken, right? The process is changed. So the story starts 10 years to the apocalypse. Jude St. Clair is our cowboy that we're following. Things have devolved back to the Wild West. And he's like the last guy on earth that's looking for the answer to the question, why the dead no longer die. It's reminiscent. If you like Walking Dead, if you like Book of Eli, Fallout, Mad Max, these are all things I enjoy and were inspiration for this story. But it's
I didn't think of that. It does,
Yeah,
like, it has a strong Book of Eli vibe.
it
I didn't even
does.
think of that, but now that as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, "Oh, that's probably the closest,"
The
you know,
closest
other
like
than the sort of
story.
zombie thing.
Right. I mean, like we have Undead and we have like so like people see the connection to Walking Dead because you're like in the South and you see the cowboy
Right.
on a horse with the apocalypse, but that's about as close as we come is like the visual part of it. The story is more like Book of Eli, where this guy is on a path that he feels is very important and will do anything to to get to his end. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what our cowboy is doing. Is he's still looking for the answer? And there's so many conspiracies about what started this apocalypse. Nobody really knows. Um, the answer is out there, and Jude will find it eventually. But that's not until like issue number 10. So you gotta stick around for the wild ride that he goes through to get there. And like we kill a lot of people, we squish a lot of people, we squish a lot of animals. There's like a million ways to die in the West kind of vibe to this as well,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's just how it is.
It's not a
So
great place to live when you read this book. I backed the first Kickstarter year. So this is for the first you I backed the well, I backed both, but
right.
you did a Kickstarter for issue 1.
Yes.
You're currently doing the Kickstarter for issue 2, which
Yes.
presumably I didn't look for it because I already have the first, but presumably you're also able to go back and get this one in that
Well,
Kickstarter.
you can get the A cover. You can't get the variants; those are sold out. But
Yeah.
yes, there is a catch-up tier. We have one. It's called Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. That's great. You can get both PDFs, and you can get 1 and 2 physical copies with that as well. Or
Right.
we catch up here with just PDFs. If you're like overseas and I can't ship to you because you're in Australia and that's a nightmare. There's PDF available as well. So we got all sorts of options on the Kickstarter, but we're doing a
Cool.
lot of fun things right now because we're kicking butt and taking names. So it's like then the fun things start to happen, right?
So how is the Kickstarter going? Where are
Uh,
you at in the stream of it?
we are doing a 30-day campaign. We are 15 in, so we're exactly halfway. We're at 86%.
Oh,
So
good. That's pretty good.
we
That's a good
started
place
off,
to
yeah.
be.
We're doing really well. So I love the cowboy hat name.
Yeah, the
Thank
cowboy
you.
hat's a nice
Fits
touch.
right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're just looking for people to find us, you know what I mean? And when they start hearing
Yeah.
about the story, they start seeing the artwork and hearing some of the fan experience things that we do. A lot of times they come along for the ride. But if you don't know we exist, then you can't, you know what I mean? You can't come and
Right.
support. So
Right.
that's my main goal is to get on, like you said, as many shows as I can so people can find us. Because that's the hardest
So
part about being an indie creator.
yes.
So
Is it whether people even know you exist? Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Because you can have the best comic in the world, and
right.
then it's like if a tree falls in a forest kind of thing.
Does
Where
anybody hear it? Right.
yeah, right. So then let's talk about that. So I think
Yeah.
I first became aware of you on Crimson Owl. I saw you
Yes.
talk to the Crimson Owl guys,
Ronnie
and
and Jason. Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
then so that turned me on to you, and then I followed, and then I'm watching your feed, and it just seemed like 2-3 times a week there's like there you are on a different show that I've never heard of. So how like someday I intend to do my own Kickstarter. Now
Yeah.
I feel like I have an authority right now on my show. How did you even come up with this list? Like, were you aware of all these shows, or once you realized you're doing the Kickstarter, did you just do some hard target search on YouTube? Like, how did you even come up with the people to go to?
Well, let's see. I think what happened was that I was approached by Barney Smith, who has this show called Story Comics. Super, super nice guy. And wow, his channel has really grown in the last like just in the last year.
Mhm.
It's just taken off. But so I was like, yeah, I would love to come on your show. And he was like, if you're interested in being on more shows, a lot of my guests use a publicist. So I hired Jeffrey Haas, who is an amazing publicist. And that's kind of where I learned about all these different shows. But then it just kind of snowballed. We're like, talking about the project, and I like to talk, and I'm pretty animated, and I have sarcastic sense of humor, whatever. And sometimes I'll flip knives on the shows and stuff like that because
Right.
knives.
I saw that on Artcasters last night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like
right.
da 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 da. It's
Yeah.
kind of my fidget thing. I got one right here.
Yeah.
So then other people started contacting me like, hey, I have a show. Do you want to come on? And I was like, yeah, of course I want to come on and talk about the project. Absolutely. So it just kind of snowballs from there. And then when I was going through this, getting ready for the second one, I just reached out to everybody again. And then, of course, once you see shows, of course, I want to go on the same shows as they grow, but I also want to find new shows and new audiences that haven't heard about Path of the Pale Rider. So then I'm contacting like people I find on Twitter, people I find on YouTube, stuff like that. And it just kind of, people are still finding me like, hey, you want to come on the show on Tuesday? I'm like, sure, I'm free that day. But I think at this point I'm booked almost for the rest of the month. I feel bad. It's been like some days I do, because I have my own show on Tuesdays. So I have a show called Tuesday Morning Brew on the Comic Related Madness Network. So I have my show, and then like I had one at 4:00 and then one at 8:00. And then I have one on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and then today I have 1, and then I have 2 tomorrow. It's just gotta
nonstop.
go. You know what I mean?
So okay, now has it always been pretty easy and natural for you? Was it weird at first? Like at this point, it has to be like just another day at the office. But was it always like no big deal, or did you have to sort of learn to get into that mode of being on a show? And talking to strangers all the time.
And what?
Talking to strangers all the time.
Yeah, but
like you're going on and you've never really talked to these. Maybe you've never even actually watched the show. So you're going.
So most of the time I have. Most of the time I do my homework, and sometimes I don't have time. You know what I mean? Like right now, if it's a new show, I don't necessarily have time to research the show before I'm on there. So I'm like, ooh, I hope it's not like something real political, because I don't want to be a part of that.
That's a good point. You probably want to do a little homework. Like, let's look at some of these past videos and make sure there's nothing really.
Like, oh, we're talking about weed? Like, why am I here?
Well, or something like even worse, like, ugh, I don't want to be part of that. But
Right. So I was like, I thought we were going to talk about comics. This is awkward. But so I mean, I usually do some kind of homework, but you're right. Like in the beginning, it was very awkward. I was nerves. Like I think they would ask me a question, I would answer something completely off topic. There's some of them like I would just take over. Like they'd ask me a question, I would just go into this like feel for 10 minutes. Not good. So I mean, you learn. I'm real familiar with StreamYard at this point, having my show with StreamYard. So it's funny because I'll show up on a show and I'll bring like slides and movies and stuff. And they're like,
it's like that's she knows what she's doing. Yeah, right.
Yeah, people are like, you brought stuff, and I was like, yeah. So I was like, I could have emailed it all to you in like 6 emails, or I could just bring it and I can click through it. Like if you put it in the stream, I can show you what it is. So
once you know you can upload, like when you're on a StreamYard, that you can upload your own deck, like it's kind of a game changer.
Right. But it just depends on what platform they run on. Because a lot of people use StreamYard, but some people are still using Zoom, and some people are using some other ones I'm not familiar with. So in those cases, I want to know, what platform are you using, so that way, if they need to share the images, I want to send them the images, so that way I can, put the art up on the screen, because it's a comic book. You want to see what the art looks like.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Which, by the way, whenever we'll certainly circle back to it, but at any point, if you want me, just let me know when to add something. But
I gotcha.
So
this one I just made today. And it's in response to the some of the stretch goals that we're lowering. Some of the stretch goals, 2 of them. So I wanted to let people know, like, some of the shenanigans that I had planned are much more obtainable at this point. So we'll play it. It's funny, but it's just, I haven't shown it on social media yet. So actually I'm premiering it on your show. And when we're done, I'll go post it on all the
everybody.
Yeah,
exclusive. Gary Hodges exclusive. So
try.
How often do you, I'm assuming it was probably more initially. How often do you rewatch one of your appearances just to see, like, see if there's like anything just to study your own thing and see if there's anything you want to change going forward?
I did that in the beginning, and it was so cringe.
I know, you can't do it. I did the same. I rewatched all of mine. I would do one in the beginning and immediately rewatch it. Like we would go off air. Yeah, and I would go to YouTube because I used to go.
I think I did the same thing in the beginning too. I'm with you.
And I would go into this crazy. I used to tell people it's like a fugue state. Like people would say, like, how did it go? It's like, I don't fucking know. I don't remember what I said. You know, like because you're just in. It's like job interview mode.
Right.
And so I would go and rewatch to see, like, what did I say?
Yeah.
You know? But then it gets to a point where, and you'll see things you're doing. It's like, I wish I didn't do that so much, or like, I cut that person off, or whatever the thing was. But then you get to a point, it's like, okay, I've learned everything I'm going to learn by rewatching this stuff. I can't look at it anymore because it's like listening to your own voice. It's like, it's not fun.
And I'm too busy. Instead of watching reruns, I should be writing, right?
Yeah.
Or I should be prepping for Cowtown, or I need to follow an artist who's working on this or that or whatever. And I have, you know, four variant covers that were done. So it's like I'm in touch with all these artists at the same time. I got one still working on interiors for the Choose Your Own Adventure. You know, I have meetings with Marco weekly to kind of prioritize what he needs to do next, and then make sure to see what's on his plate because he's a full-time artist as well. So we're kind of unique. We're a unique team where it's like I'm only working on Path of the Pale Rider, and he's only working on comic art. He has a project, and I think he has 2 other projects. His plate's pretty full, and then we do cons together at times because he's in Fort Worth area. So we'll always tell each other, like, we're going, I got a con coming up. Where is it? Oh, it's here. Do you want to come? Sure. I got an extra batch. Like, bring your stuff. You know what I mean? So we'll go to cons together, and it's fun. You know what I mean? So it's better than being by yourself anyway. So
yeah. That's okay. So, by the way, ignore this commenter right here. Just don't worry about this person. I don't know who this person is. I've never talked to this person before. We just ignore
them. Man. The comments, they're coming.
Oh, they're coming. Oh, yeah. Okay, so
bring it on.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. I can't leave this alone any longer.
Let's talk about it.
You are definitely a unicorn in that this is your focus. I feel like almost I off the top of my head, every other person I've talked to, either in all my little individual comic communities, whether it's, I feel like I have a few that I'm kind of consider myself part of the Making Comics guys, which is Keith Foster and Scott Lost. I kind of consider myself part of the Artcasters guys. So Jim's doing his animation stuff, and then there's the animation people like Paul Pate, who's in the chat and stuff like that. Anyway, whoever all these people are, they all seem to have kind of like a day job or something. Of
course.
Except you. Now, what were you doing before? Unicorn, that's you. Look at you right there. Screen cap.
Yeah, don't do that. Right. What was I doing?
Yes. And how long ago? When did you make? I want to hear about that transition. So we'll start with what were you doing before?
I do a couple things. I still instruct in martial arts. I teach a class Tuesday nights. It's a weapons class, and I train with my instructor. I've been doing martial arts for 25 years, so it's not.
Now, I forgot the name of it, but it's the Filipino art, right?
It's called Calis Illustrissimo. It's brutal. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
I don't know. I'm not trying to pretend I know anything about this. I just know this much. Yeah. Does that have any relationship? Who was the name? It was Bruce Lee's student. It was like Dan somebody.
Dan Inosanto. No, it's not the same lineage. Okay. Dan Inosanto does do Kali, but Calis Illustrissimo is a very specific niche of that world. Illustrissimo is the name of the man that lived this incredible life and started this specific lineage. He was in the Beret Corps, and then went to the Coast Guard and was like,
I love that this is a gesture for Marines.
And then he was sword fighting pirates on ships, and then he became a hitman for the mob in Manila. So this is the art that I'm learning, is basically this man who was a successful hitman and lived to a quite ripe old age and was practicing martial arts into his 80s when he died, and no one could touch him in his 80s.
When did he die? What era are we talking about?
I think in the late 70s, early 80s, I believe. Wow. So not too long ago. So I mean, like, here's the lineage. Yeah. So it's Tatang Illustrissimo. He had 3 students, and basically he didn't teach this art as a systemized art. It was his own personal fighting style, and there was 3 guys that convinced him to teach them. and they would take turns sparring this man, and the other two would take notes and try to figure out what the heck he was doing.
Wow.
So that's how it started. So there's 3 of them, and one of them's name was Mr. Christopher Ricketts. And then he was my teacher's teacher, who is Vico Green. So very close to the beginning of the art, considering that's so crazy.
Yeah.
So that's not really my day job. Like that's what I've done, and like that's kind of how I got
martial arts assassin is what we're hearing. What we're hearing today is that's basically
yeah. We're gonna move along. So anyway, but that's relevant to what comes, because that's how I got into writing comics. I used to choreograph fight scenes for a production company in Detroit called Coattail Collective.
Okay.
I wrote a short film, which myself and my fight team were in kind of as our resume, like our calling card, so people could see what we were capable of doing. We did like a fight in a stairwell. We did gun disarms. I did a wall run in the stairwell. Like we had an extended knife fight. I ran someone over with a car. Like we did lots of fun stuff. In this 7 minutes of just pure fighting, right? So that was kind of being like, hire us, you know, our name is Trinity 60, you know, we can help
like
choreograph your stuff.
Sort of, a pitch reel. Yeah.
But then I had a day job where I was doing financials for a copier company.
There we go. Okay. Yeah.
So
look at that face. Look at that. You just admitted it like you said you were, I don't know, that you used to run guns or something. Like, I mean, it's
but it's just so funny because people are like, what do you do? I'm like, financials. And then I'm like, and then I also kill people and write comic books about zombies. So pick which one you want.
I also did a stint in white collar finance job. I understand. I recognize the face. I recognize the face where it's like, what do you do? And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like in the creative world when you're like, I write comics, but I also ran the books. You know what I mean? So it's right.
Like,
yeah. It's not. It doesn't have.
I'm really good at Excel, people. I'm really good at Excel.
No, yeah, right. That's not the room. You walk into a room with a bunch of comic artists. It's like, what do you do? And it's like, I have accounts receivable. Like that doesn't.
I did accounts receivable, accounts payable, like transitioning accounts, just anything. Like I paid the taxes, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and it was a copier company. So I know tons about copiers that I have useless information rolling around the brain about like what your copy machine does and how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like announcing you're a narc at a reggae party. But
right.
So yeah. So,
martial arts much cooler.
Yeah, no, I understand why you lead with that. Like, well, I do stunts and martial arts, assassins, hitmen, blah blah. And
I can make sure you balance at the end of the month.
You know what though? Like
this it came in handy when it came to Kickstartering, let me tell you.
Oh, really?
Creating a budget and understanding how everything works, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so I worked in a finance department for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And just having to figure out like what should I price my comic at? Like that stuff does really help. Like it does really give you a better sense of like expenses that I think a lot of people just wouldn't even occur to them until they were actually in the thick of it and losing money.
Right. Or keeping track of your expenses so that way when you get a CPA that has to run, do your taxes with a whole Kickstartering, it gets a lot more complicated. So being able to keep track and like create codes so that way you can be like, okay, here's how I spent my money, so they can figure out how you have to pay taxes. Stuff like
and
that.
I don't talk about it a lot with other comic people, but like I can tell you like if I sell a comic, exactly what that costs me. Mm-hmm. I can look at one comic and say this is this much money for me. It's like with the printing, the bag, the board, the shipping, the packaging for the shipping, like all that stuff.
Yes.
Like I know what each, and that makes it so much easier to set a price where this is exactly what it costs me to even get somebody a comic. So, and you hear those stories all the time on Kickstarters where they have a successful Kickstarter and they end up losing money on it. Because they didn't.
Well, that or you don't set up your shipping correctly. And I had a boo-boo on my first one that I learned on. I was like, oh, snap. So my very first Kickstarter, I didn't set up one of my add-ons correctly. And I was on a live and I went to push launch and it wouldn't go. And I didn't know why. So here I am on live in front of like, I don't know, 15 people panicking because I can't get Kickstarter to go. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going around and monkeying around with shipping.
I remember that. I was watching that night. Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, somebody talk to, I can fix this. And it was Jeff Haas, my publicist, that figured it out. He's like, you have to go fix this ad. But because I was monkeying around and shipping on all the rewards, I pushed live, and one of my $100 reward levels had no shipping attached to it. So I shipped out, I don't know, 10 of these packages that had like 4 comics, a t-shirt, a keychain, a bunch of extras.
No.
And 2 of them went to Canada.
Oh no.
No shipping collected.
No.
Yay.
So yeah, you probably just washed on those.
I was lucky I didn't, but I had enough people that backed enough things where I had you know what I mean? Because we were like 116%. So, and I think I was like within $40 of my ship.
I don't even ship out of the US anymore, and I feel bad about it sometimes, but like I had just a couple people reach out to me from Canada and say like, hey, I can't order your book, but it sounds awesome. I'd really, and it's like, okay. And I mean, I suppose some people would say like, look, I'm going to go get the price. You pay me whatever that is. But the price is so staggering.
That's the problem, right?
That it's like, I feel like I can't ask them to pay that for a comic book.
But they do. They do.
They will.
Unless the guys were smart. Maybe you're not back this time. I haven't seen any Canadian backers this time. I still have Canada as an available option for me to ship there, but I think those guys were smart because 2 of them were like, there's no shipping on this. Let's back it, you know?
Yeah.
Because it was like $30 a pop.
They're probably so used to seeing Kickstarters where it's not even available to them. So like they probably get I bet there's a lot of Canadians and people like who get excited where it's like I can actually even get this. You know, because like I said, I just won't do it anymore. And it breaks my heart, but I've gotten to the routine of they'll message me on Instagram and like, hey, can I get to Canada? It's like, unless you're willing to pick up the tab. Like, which I don't think like
well, a lot of times they don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you like my here, Paul? Look, this is called a karambit.
Yeah, Paul is
This one is actually awesome. This is handmade for me. I have a buddy who's a knife. I have a couple buddies that are weapon smiths at this point.
Is there an edge on that outside curve? It looks like
it's a trainer. It's meant to look like there is, but this is a trainer.
So, but would a real one would have an edge on both sides?
No, it would just be on this side.
Just the inside.
There are some that are sharp on both sides, but this is the true size of a karambit because it's an assassin weapon. You see karambits that are huge these days, and that's not what their intention is for. They sneak up and they just like slit throats.
Yeah, it's a little
and they poison these. So if someone takes out a knife and it smells like flowers, the reason why is they perfume the blade to hide the smell of the poison, because if they cut you with it, they don't want you to know what the antidote is.
Oh, but see, it's almost like, I mean, you wouldn't know the specific poison, but to me, that's a little bit like Lysol in the bathroom, where now you just associate that smell with shit. You know, like, so now flowers,
I mean, but there's different poisons that
you don't know which poison. Right.
That's the thing. And you have to be able to know which one in order to have the correct antidote.
Right. Yeah.
So they use snake venom, they use plant poison. It's nasty. So you know what I mean? But they're just like, they walk in and they get your throat, they disembowel, or, you know, I can't even disembowel with this. It's too little, but they scratch you to a point where it gets into your blood.
It's enough where even if it doesn't kill you outright.
And then they walk away.
It's weird, the dumb things that will stick in your brain. I know when I was in high school, I read a bad mummy horror book. I couldn't tell you anything about it other than the fact that apparently arsenic smells like almonds or something. There was some reference to that. That's the only thing I remember. But for some reason that 30 years later is still stuck in my,
Yes, exactly. So it's like, if you know this smell, then you could be like, I need an antidote for this specifically, instead of trying to figure out what antidotes you need. So, but if they put the smell of flowers, then you don't know. So if you, not that we're ever going to encounter that, but it's just a fun fact.
So something a topic I've been kicking around in my head and I haven't decided if I want to do like a whole video on it or if I want to have guests in on it. But I've been curious about people who integrate their experience, whatever it is, day job or biographical experience or things they grew up with or whatever, into their fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Path of the Pale Rider, I don't see a lot of examples, but maybe I'm not looking closely enough. The martial
We haven't
arts
gotten there
thing is,
yet.
okay. Oh, okay. So you will be kind of like integrating some of that knowledge into this, like some of your experience with martial arts will somehow pop up in Path of the Pale Rider.
We will have some big fights. You will see fights that have, I mean, and they're story driven. So like Jude is kind of like your typical guy. He's not skilled. He doesn't have like superpowers. He's not a smooth operator for most parts. He does have some trades and tricks up his sleeves, but he's not like a martial artist. This is like kind of a West. He's a brawler. So you'll see you'll see fights with Jude. I will introduce other characters that are martial artists, and those fights are crazy.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time crafting those. And it's almost to the point where I have to make sure I can communicate what exactly is happening with my artist, because I can see it in my head, but can he see what I'm saying in my head?
That's a perfect segue. Perfect segue. Something. So I conceive, write, and draw D versus M. I'm the one-stop. It's a one-man show. So I'm very interested in the experience of writing and then handing it off. I was curious. I had a bunch of questions related to that, but why don't we start with that? But I have questions about how detailed are your scripts? How specific are you being? How much leeway are you giving him? What format are you writing? I wanted to talk about all that, but why don't we start? You have a martial arts fight, for example, or a fight where there's a lot of you have a very clear picture in your head. This is what it looks like. This is what like the kind of movements that are happening. How are you communicating? Are you doing little stick figures? Or are you trying to write that out as explicitly as you can? How does that work?
I will write it out explicitly so that I understand it and so that I don't lose track of the fight. A lot of times what I can do with Marco, though, is I will go to my martial arts school and I'll find a volunteer who wants to act it out with me and we'll video it.
Perfect. That's great.
And then I can send that to Marco and be like, this is what this fight looks like. You know, this is the important parts of the fight. And these are the angles that I want you to use.
Okay. So now your scripts, are you usually that specific where like, this is the angle I'm picturing, or are you, I guess, how much room are you giving him?
He gets a lot of leeway. I actually write in screenwriting sense of structure. It's a screenplay. It's a screenplay. So I have like,
I write mine like a screenplay. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because like it's very common for comic book writers to write page 1, panel 1. This is what happens. Here's the dialogue. Yeah. Panel 2. This is what happens. This is the dialogue. I leave that all to Marco. He gets to express how the panels go, what angles we commonly use. Oh man, he
just ignore this person too. I don't know who this person is.
Just you wait, Jim.
Oh my God. Oh.
We don't
another
use
exclusive, everybody.
But
the NC-17 rated issue 3 of Path of the Pale Rider coming soon. Okay, go ahead.
You'll stick around. You'll see you'll get an eyeful. We'll just put it that way.
Wow. Okay.
People are like, you need like pinups and celestial bodies. And I'm like, it's coming. It's just not in the wild. Like, you're not going to run across a naked woman with the wolves. Like, piece and like what really would happen. So no, there's no naked ladies running across. But things happen. Where were we? So Marco does all the paneling.
Format.
Right. I am extremely detailed.
Yeah.
I will tell him what people look like. I will tell him most of what a scene will look like, but he always adds to it. Sure. Because being the artist, like for example, issue number 2, can you bring up the here, can I share screen?
You should be able to share screen.
Yeah, I can share screen. I got it.
Got it?
All right. Can you put the Kickstarter up? Por favor.
I think is it showing? It's showing for me.
Yeah, it's there. Okay. So, we can go through more of this. I just want to show you guys. So here's issue number 2. So this, for example, so this is Jude going into the town of Santa Claus. Okay. So I just said, we're going into Santa Claus. Jude walks into town and he heads towards the saloon. Marco's like, but Laurie, there's zombies here, aren't they? I was like, well, yeah. He's like, zombies are everywhere. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, how does Santa Claus treat the undead? And I was like, well, they're not very nice to just about everybody, but if you're undead and you're going into Santa Claus, they're going to stake you on the front gate. So he was like, okay, we're adding zombies just about everywhere. So zombies on the front gate, zombies inside the town asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
They use zombies as signage because they don't care. They see them as lesser, right? So they're using them as freaking like this way to the saloon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's from Marco's brain. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I need to get Jude into the saloon so we can start telling the story. He's like, what does it look like as he's walking into the town? So Marco can see more than what I tell him sometimes. The saloon is actually really a funny place. If you look hard enough, you'll see references to what it was before it was a saloon. It was actually a hair salon.
I liked this. I heard that the other night, and I thought that
Did
was
you?
funny. Yeah, and that in the background you see the hair drying chairs,
Yeah.
like the little. I thought that was a funny little visual touch. So was
It's
that in the script,
this
or did
page.
he?
No, that was written into the script because
Okay.
the whole point was in the apocalypse, it's like we don't get our hair done anymore. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
But everybody cares about drinking.
Sure.
So we're going to take a place like a hardwood store, like salon. It's just salon, saloon. You added an O and there you go. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a funny thing we did where it's just like added, oh, there are people. And now they brought in tables and chairs and there they are. They built a bar. The bar is probably already there. You know what I mean? It was the checkout counter at the salon. You know, I don't know. It's just something that's funny.
No, I love it. And I know I asked you this when we were chatting, but for everyone, so your artist, what is his page rate in terms of time? Like, how long does it take him to do a page?
He does about 2 pages a week.
Okay.
It just depends on how complicated they are, and if like here's one in color, so that would take him like an extra day. He's very quick.
He's pretty quick.
So yeah.
Very visually like involved scenes too, for as fast as he is, and he's juggling. Now he does art for a bunch of different projects. When he's working on yours, is that all he's working on, or is he juggling?
He's juggling, just depending on what people need. But if I need him to focus, he usually will. Where I'm like, hey, it's crunch time. Kickstarter money is in. I need you to fly. You know what I mean? And he's like, all right, I got one thing to do. It's like he'll do like commissions for people. He does a lot of covers and commission art. So he's like, I got one to do, and then I'm freed up for a while. He's like, I'll go through all your stuff as you need it, and then he can get back to his other stuff. So he's really good at prioritizing and like, you know what I mean? Like almost like triaging, like what's the most important thing I need to work on right now? And of course, when I'm knocking at the door, like, Marco, I want to release stuff because we're Kickstartering. I need promotional stuff. He's like, I got you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
then he'll triage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So on a scale, just from listening to other writers talking about working with artists, it seems like there's a spectrum of reaction to the work they're getting. On one end of the spectrum is, this is not at all what I pictured, and I'm so frustrated, and this knucklehead, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the other end of the spectrum is like, this is exactly what I wanted, which is, great. That's like, I didn't want any deviations. There's like a lot of potential reactions. Generally speaking, like, first of all, I guess my question is, how, when he realizes your vision, how different is it from what you pictured in your head, and what is your reaction to that?
It's not different than what's in my head.
This
is what's in my head, people. Yeah, Marco is able to see from my script, and a lot of times we spend a fair amount of time in pre-planning because I want him to have all the information so he doesn't have to go back and redraw or recreate. You know what I mean? That's a waste of time in my book. So I want Thank you, Keith. Thank you for the
Yeah.
back. I appreciate it.
It is great. By the way, like just for the I think I said that I did back the first one. I'm backing the second as well. I read the first one and really enjoyed it. And the first one I think is a really good issue one, where it gives you a good sense of like the vibe, the feel, characters, sort of the rules of this universe. But it also leaves you with like kind of a big like, okay, now what? You know, it's like it's a good kind of opening where you want to definitely read issue 2. So
thank you. That's the best compliment ever, people. It's to have someone read a first issue and see what we were trying to accomplish on the nose. So it's like, I want you to see what Jude is like because of the decisions that he has to make, you know, in the wild or with people, and what is he looking for? You know, he makes stupid decisions, but he owns up to it when everything goes wrong. And then ultimately, you know, does he pick himself up by his bootstraps and keep going? And yeah, and I leave you with a spectacular action, and there's a twist. Like, okay, this person better be worth it, right?
yeah.
Modified
So
or added shot.
Jim has a non-love scene related question. Have you ever modified or added shots to a script to play to your artist's strengths?
That's
So
interesting.
how much? This is interesting, especially now that you've done the first one. Seeing how he draws, seeing like now knowing this relationship, has that like kind of cycled back into affecting your writing process at all, like with him in mind?
I'm gonna have to say no to that. I am already done writing the whole first arc. We have 13 issues that are done.
Okay.
And every issue that we move forward, it's actually more challenging for Marco to draw. So I don't think he's going to get bored because of all the things I kind of throw at him. I don't think I would change anything about the story knowing his art skill. I'm just glad that he's able to do the things that I'm going to throw at him. I'm more confident having had that issue done in seeing like that last third of the book, right, Gary, where it's like the action happens. When he turned that in, I was like, okay, we're golden, because
you know
we're going to see a lot more of that.
And Marco, if you're watching, like I loved your art for all of it. Don't take this the wrong way. But my impression, and I see this also as an artist myself, in that last third, like he was really excited. Like that's where it was like, okay, now we're sinking my teeth in, you know, because it's like it's challenging drawing, but you can tell he really was enthusiastic to do it. So like it has a different kind of, your story raises the game, raises the stakes, and he's like, you can tell he's enthusiastic to do that. Like it's like, okay, now let's really cut loose and draw some crazy stuff. Like
like this page, when he drew Dwayne Fink standing on the table, I was like, bravo. I was like, this is this crazy man that he was looking for. He finds out he's a town freaking drunk, spilling his beer on this guy repeatedly, and then falls off the table and gets thrown in the drunk tank. Like, way to go. This is the guy that you just, you know, all that crazy stuff that happened last issue. Is this guy worth it? I don't know, man. He's nuts. So we'll find out more. Really,
knowing that he can deliver, like, no, it hasn't affected your writing at all. But had you had the unfortunate situation of feeling your artist limitations, maybe then you would have like tweaked, like this is a more attainable goal with the writing, or would you still just say like, nope, this is what it is, and you're gonna have to figure out how to do it?
It's hard to say because I'm not in that situation. You know what I mean? Like I could have, but again, this story, I don't want to change anything because it's such there's no fluff here. The story is, I don't want to say bare bones because it's a deep story, and there's a lot of action, and there's a lot of theories, and I'm foreshadowing all sorts of stuff, so it's very complicated. But I can't really take stuff out without affecting the entire story. So if I dumb some things down art-wise, it would change a lot.
You're kind of, you're gonna diminish the impact of the seeds you're planting. Right, I get it.
Yes. So that's why it was so important for Marco to be on board, or someone, like his caliber to be on board. So that way when we get, but I mean, it's good for him too, because at 1, we start here, 2, we're going to go forward, 3, we get a lot more, 4 starts going off the rails, 5, we have an insane thing that happens. You know what I mean? 6, 7, 8 is nuts. And it's like, so it's slowly going to push him to draw more and more like things. And it's like, at first we start with just Jude and Prince and maybe a couple people. And it's like, now we introduce a town. Then we're going to introduce more characters. And it's like, by the time we get to 8, there's this huge scene with a ton of people. And hopefully he's been warmed up at that point, because number 8 is so pivotal. Like that's the close of the second act, the beginning of the third act of kind of like the movie, if it was a movie. And it's insane. So once we get to 8 people, there's no turning back. It's like, I want 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, Laurie. Get it out, because you want to know what happens after that.
So, okay, so now here's the personal. So I'm trying to wrap up issue 3 of my 6-issue arc. And it's gotten to the point where I think, and certainly you've passed this point a long time ago, where it's well enough thought out, and you're far enough in the process where the end is very foreseeable. Like you can kind of imagine, you're able to see, like, this is actually going to wind up, and I'm actually going to get to do these other stories, and we're going to have a complete story here that someone's going to be able to read someday.
Yeah.
How awful for you? I can tell you for me how awful it is, but how awful is it having these stories in your head, having them written, and knowing that you're probably years away from like being there? Is it okay? Are you managing it well? Is it frustrating? Do you wish you could wave a magic wand and they're all out today? Like what kind of tell me about your experience with that?
I think we're all there, but it's like, I have to remind myself it's part of the journey. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let people experience issue number 1. I always talk about issue number 8 and how I would love to be there, but there's so many things that happen to build up to number 8 that are exciting and terrible and dramatic. So it's like, I have to let people read that stuff to appreciate number 8. Yeah. So it's like, you have to be in the journey. You can't be wishing you're so far ahead that you're there already, because it won't make sense. So yeah. So like, for example, I'm done with arc 1. I'm writing arc 2. I'm 9 issues into arc 2. So when you were talking earlier, before I was out of the back room, I totally get what you're saying, where it's just like, I don't have time to write this freaking thing, but I'm at the third act, where everything has been set up, and now I'm going to light the fire to explode the powder keg, right?
Yeah.
And all I have to do is find the time to sit down and write it. But I'm Kickstartering, so there's no time for that. Like,
well, and it's funny when you first answered, and I feel like this applies too, not to get a little fluffy, but not only is it the journey for the reader, and that they need to go for example, your issue 8 to pay off in the way that you imagine it, they have had to have gone through 2, 3, 4, 5. Like they have to go through all that for 8 to even work. But also, when I first heard you answer that, I thought you were saying, like, kind of for you, it's the journey. Like you kind of have to be present in whatever you're doing right now, which is
issue 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like right now. Where are we right now? Yes, you've thought this all out, but right now you have to be focused on this.
Yeah. Yep. So we're all part of it together. It's part of the experience. And what I love about it is that every issue that comes out, I am learning. I am evolving. Where I was when we released Kickstarter number 1 and issue number 1, and where I am now, there's huge growth. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to doing that every time, growing in the community, meeting new people, spitballing ideas. You know, it's like, after the last one is when I decided to write the Choose Your Own Adventure. If it wasn't for that last journey that we did, this thing wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. Which is such
a
fun idea. Man, and I know this came from a fan suggestion, right?
I had like 6 or 7 people ask me about Choose Your Own Adventure.
And that's why I don't want to add another thing to your plate. But when I saw this, it made me think like, well, now I want a Path of the Pale Rider role-playing game.
I know. So we have card games in mind. We have tabletop games. There's a video game that we're spitballing that was really cool because we were talking about having it be like an 8-bit, like Oregon Trail. You've died of dysentery, except this time it's died from an undead bear. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then when you become undead, the video game switches to something else, like a first-person shooter. And the longer you're undead, the less it makes sense. Like you can't read words anymore because all the letters are jumbled. You can't see faces. Like you don't understand what you're looking at, but you're still shooting all these things. So it can really go off the rails, and we can get really creative. I love exploring other types of media, especially coming from production. So like for the people that don't know, we have the comic book. I wrote a Choose Your Own Adventure, which is 60 pages. We have a short film that we release every campaign. So this is our second short film. The first one we did a commercial for the undead retirement community, which was a lot of fun because we filmed a riot scene and we lit things on fire and we simulated a shooting. And I don't think we ran into everybody with a car in that one. But this one, like, this is the conspiracy theories. Can I show like a clip of this?
Of course. Yes.
I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 5 minutes. So people, if you want to watch it, just head over to the Kickstarter page and you can watch the whole thing.
Well, it'll give them a reason to go into the Kickstarter page.
And once we get to 100 backers, I'm going to release the blooper reel of this, which will be really funny.
That would be great.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Channel 13 WDED. I'm Lewis Landon. As you know, we've been following this crisis as it develops. And now we'd like to go live to Ellie Brock on location, talking to you, the viewer, on what you think caused this horrific crisis. Ellie, good evening. And how are you?
Hello, Lewis. How are you? I'm here on location today. We're going to walk the streets and see what people have to say. Hello, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
You got it.
What do you think broke the death process?
The witches.
It's the cats.
You know, if I had to pick one thing, it'd be the aliens.
Aliens.
Yes, aliens.
Where they come from?
Outer space.
How do you think the death process is broken?
I can tell you. It's that damn sugar.
That's a good question. And a lot of you are going to say the government. I know, in fact, most of you are going to say the government.
I think it's the government.
No comment. Do you want to talk about what you think broke the death process? Sir. Sir, do you have a second? I'd like to ask you a question.
I'm going to fast forward, guys. Hold on.
I think my favorite one is the girl who just breaks down crying. At the
that she makes me laugh. Here's Pop's
why do
everybody.
I think that's so funny? Just like
that's Chris Hayes.
These are all just like friends and fans who just like
they're friends, fans, neighbors, everybody who just wanted to kind of be a part of the project, which is really cool. Like a lot of these people are part of Path of the Pale Rider fandom. This one is really funny. Wait, we gotta watch this one. It's about McDonald's. Play
McDonald's broke death. And the reason I say that is if you think about it, their food don't actually burn. Their food was designed to be consumed by the dead. But see, if you take it, then you die. So it's the consumption of eating the food that only is made for that do not die. You get what I'm saying? It's McDonald's. That's what I'm telling you.
It's just
I love her commitment to the bit too. Like she's really she went for it.
She's really good.
Yeah,
I love that's funny. Jazar Riches. She's a friend of mine from Coattail, and you're like this one right here. Where this goes.
Crazy stuff. I'm gonna go rob a bank.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
I don't know why the dead don't fucking die. Look at me. Look at me. Put the phone.
And there you have it. We've spent all day asking people what they think. There's some truly wild accusations out there, and let me say, we really have no idea.
Go to commercial. Is she okay? Somebody
walk me through how do you even shoot that? How does so where's the cut? What is happening there? Like, just give me a little behind the scenes stunt of getting hit by a car on camera.
It's actually really easy. Okay, so you're on the car, and you
Yes.
back the car up out of scene, and you jump off the car, and you turn around and you smile at the camera.
The oldest trick in the book reversed.
Add a little shaky cam so that way it
There's the impact. I didn't even. Of course.
Fire
the
Hawk, you
simplest
know I'm having
explanation.
fun. You're coming along for the ride, so you know.
Pretty good. That is fun. Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness.
Okay. You do your comics in screenplay format.
Yes.
You're not especially detailed until it's getting into areas of expertise. Like this is what.
Most of the time I am when we're coming to some place that's new or da 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 da. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
No,
Thanks for stopping by. Firehawk, you know it because you come along for the ride, so you're here with us, right? So you know.
Yeah. Firehawk's a good fan.
I think when I'm introducing new people that are especially important, I spend a lot of time describing them. I don't think I really described Santa Claus because I wasn't really interested what it looked like from the outside. So
Which,
it's
by the way, for people who aren't, Santa Claus is the town.
Yes.
It's like Santa Clara or Santa, whatever.
Santa Ana.
It's not a character.
Yeah. It's a real place. You can look it up. There's a town in Arizona called Santa Claus. I'm not joking.
You know what? I guess I knew that. I'm in Arizona, and I don't remember. I've never been there. I vaguely remember it being just someplace. It's way I wouldn't go out there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's in the sticks, which is weird.
Yeah, it's real far.
So,
yeah.
But it's just kind of funny. I was looking for, because Jude's path is taking him to some very specific places that you will recognize. But so he had to be somewhere that made sense, right? Geographically. So I was looking around in Arizona and I was like, Santa this, Santa that. I was like, is there some place called Santa Claus? I was just spitballing, put it in Google Maps and it showed up in Arizona. I'm like, oh, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Now I have to look. I can't wait. I gotta see.
Oh man. So it's by I-93 and something 43, something like that.
This is, and I just realized we have sort of now a funny thing in common because both our comics are set in Arizona.
Yep.
Let's see here. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a million miles from nothing. Oh, but you would probably go through it on your way to Vegas.
Exactly.
Yeah, now I see why I've never been there. I mean, it's just so far from anything. It's just way up there. Yeah.
Crossover event. There we go. Someone said we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen.
That's right.
Gary's people are going to show up in my comic as undead.
Do we have you committed to a year that this takes place?
It's 2030.
2030. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me think. If I have a kid show up in maybe one of my later ones, they conceivably could be a grown adult in your. Okay, we'll think about it. But
we'll brainstorm.
There we go.
Yeah, it's people drive past it, not realizing it's there on the way going west. And there's this ongoing joke. There's this ongoing joke in my comic. When you ask for directions, people just to go west. They're like, "Yeah, it's west of here," and he's like, "And?" You're like, what do you mean? It's just west. So it's west. So west of Santa Claus is where he's going. So that's funny.
I'll have to watch for it next time. I probably did drive through it or past it because it is the way you would take if you're driving from Flagstaff or Phoenix to Las Vegas. You should go right by it. But I've done that, but I don't remember.
Yeah, the guys from Charter went to the Las Vegas con a few weeks ago. And they drove right past it. And I was like, you didn't stop and take a picture in Santa Claus.
Well, it must be actually here. Now I gotta know. Let's see here. I want population of Santa Claus, Arizona.
Yeah, I don't think it's very big. I'm north of Dallas. I'm 1 hour north of Dallas. So I'm in Dallas Fort Worth area, the Metroplex, but just an hour north. So I'm gonna be in Fort Worth for Cowtown next weekend. So if you're in Fort Worth area, stop by Cowtown next weekend. It's the 22nd and 23rd. It even snowed in Santa Claus.
Yes,
it is in the hills.
Sense. It's far enough north where there should be some snow. I'm trying to find a population count.
They
Let's
better
see.
have a freaking Christmas store. Oh, speaking of, you guys, did you see this cover? Because this one makes me laugh so hard. This one.
Is this the? Here it is. This is the one I.
This is the
went
one you
for.
got?
Yeah. The variants.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I had to get that one.
This is our Christmas cover. Think of Charlie Brown Christmas tree covered in zombie parts. I just love it because it says "Welcome to Santa Claus." It's issue number 2. He's heading to Santa Claus, and it's the most unwelcoming image.
No,
you could
it's terrible. But it's all
Terrible.
it's so Walking Dead comic looking. You know, like
Yeah.
it has that cool. Like it looks. I mean, all the covers look cool. It's always hard to pick. But when I saw this one, and I'm a pen and ink guy, I like black and white and all that. So it was like, oh, this is the one I want.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of my favorites this round for sure.
It's very
Paul, you used to live in Texas and now you're in Michigan. I'm from Michigan and now live in Texas.
You swap.
So,
to
bummer, we
maintain
traded
the
places.
balance.
So, yeah, I was in like Northville before we relocated to Texas in 2019. So, we're fam. You and I, we're fam now.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
So, tell me about, okay, so you do a screenplay format.
Yeah.
As we established. Path of the Pale Rider, I'm assuming. Well, I had another question before that. We'll circle back. The first question is, so how written is the rest of this series? Is it now? I know you said like you've got them written. You're already in the second, basically, season. You know, but
right.
Is it like 100% locked? This is it, or is it like 75% done and you fine tune, or is it an outline? Like, how fleshed out do you have future issues? Like, for example, issue 3. How written is issue 3?
Issue 3 is solid. It's not
like 100%.
Yeah, it won't change.
What about, like,
issue 3,
issue
4, 5, 6. I think I could. Okay, so usually what I do is I'll start writing in the next arc. And if I find something meaty and I can foreshadow it in the first arc, I might add a little tweak here and there or something visual. Like the story itself won't change, but I might add someone in the background. I might add imagery to foreshadow what's coming. So I won't really change the whole thing. So you could say like it's 99% there. But I only add stuff if it's adding to the story. But I did that when I first started writing arc number 2, and I was like, oh, I have a great idea. So you actually get to see one of the characters from arc 2 in arc 1. You have no idea that you're seeing them.
Okay.
So when you get to arc 2, you're going to be like, I have seen this guy before. So then you're like, where have I seen this guy before? And you have to go back through the issues to go find him and realize, oh my God, this is this guy. You know what I mean?
You know why I'm excited about this? And I can't spoil anything, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's just, I'm very excited that you brought this up. There's something like that in D vs. M 4, 5, and 6. There'll be a character you're getting glimpses of that you don't even know. It could just be a background character.
Exactly.
But then by the time 6 rolls around, you know, like, oh, that's that guy. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right.
I feel you. It's the same. So yes, I might do stuff like that, but for the most part, like I'll finish an arc and it's pretty solid. I probably will go back, add stuff to arc number 2 and start arc number 3. But arc number 3, I'm wrapping up the story. Like there is a distinct ending in mind. I hate fluff. I hate it with a passion. So like when you watch Walking Dead and you're like, yeah, the season opening is great. And then like nothing happens for 3 more episodes. And then it's like, okay, something great happened. And then nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like I detest that. It drives me crazy. Yeah. So that's what I meant. Like I can't take anything out because something happens every episode.
I think when you're a writer, you start to see that for what it is, which is this.
Yeah, you know, and it out so that when we get
and
more
like
money
your tolerance
from
for that
you,
just goes through you just can't. Like I see what you're doing, man. I see this was a 4-episode story that you needed to make 8. You know, and you're just trying
you see
to
that a lot in TV too, right?
Yeah.
So I have an ending we have to, I'm like, so once you figure out the answer to the question, why do the dead no longer die? You get to explore that. So we probably resolve like half of it. And then at the end of the second arc, I leave you with a giant twist and things just blow up again. So then when we get to arc 3, it's like, okay, we have the rest of this to resolve. And then when we get to the ending, it wraps up nicely. But that's how that's good writing, people. That, like, when you watch like the Breaking Bads, you know, and like seasons that have such spectacular endings that sit well, like Endgame, like we get all the fan service, everything wraps up. It's been planned since the beginning. When you're in the middle of a season, you're like, we're going to wrap this up at the end of this season. It's like, oh crap, I wasn't planning on, how do I get there? That's when you get like the Dexters, the Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? Where it's like people are pissed. The Sopranos, where it's like, this makes no sense. Stuff like that. So it's like you want someone to have an ending in mind, so that way things are wrapped up and you're happy with it, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's why, I mean, I'm the same way, and that's why I've had outlines at the very minimum, finalized outlines for every single D versus M before I even finished drawing the first one. Like I knew where I was going. But so then that's, you're having the experience now of, and you're going to have it even more so with the second. You have all this stuff written. You have this world figured out, this story figured out. Now you're putting books out there. People are reading them and you're hearing their reactions. How hard or easy is it for you to not let, or do you enjoy it, and are you using it to not let like reaction inform your process?
It's hard because we're only one issue in,
right?
You know what I mean? And I got such a positive response from issue 1 that it really didn't change my mindset of how I want to create. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see when I get further into it. I'd like to see if anything changes, and maybe that's something we can revisit maybe on a future visit. Because as of right now, people are like, I love it and I want more of it. And I'm like, okay.
No, this is a good spot. So it's just, I think that's something that I guess I've got 2 out, and then the third coming, and it's something, I think I had the same reaction to the first, but then you start thinking like, well, what if the reason they're into this is something that's unique to the first that I don't have really in the, you know, that's where you start. And I actually, it's not a problem for me. I'm very, and I get the impression you're sort of similar, where it's very much like, nope, I've got my story and now I'm just executing the plan, and doesn't really matter what kind of feedback I'm getting. Like we're going forward with this plan. That's the impression I get from you. But
I made a test. So what I mean by that is, like, when I write a riddle, I'll let people try and solve it, and I'll get feedback. And if it passes the things that I'm looking for, if it's the response I'm looking for, I'll move forward. The story the people that have read the whole first arc have all given me the same response. And it's interesting. They see it in their own medium. So I saw it as a screenplay. I saw it as a movie because that's the medium I see it in. My husband saw it as a comic book. That's why we're making it as a comic book. I have friends that write video games. They see it as a RPG video game. Okay. People see it as choose your own adventure. People see it as, so that to me says it's a very personal story and people interpret it through themselves. I'm not changing that. You know what I mean? And I haven't gotten any feedback about anything like rule breaking or this doesn't make sense, or usually it's like, oh God, you killed that person that way. That's terrible. And I really enjoy it. You know what I mean? So when I'm getting that kind of feedback, it's all right. Okay. It's just move forward. I did tweak a few things. Like, I think I rewrote the ending like 4 or 5 times to the first arc. And then in the second arc, I broke one of my own rules. I had to go back and rewrite a death because I was like, that wouldn't work. Stuff like that. But for the most part, like, I've gotten people that read the story are like, yes, when do we get it? Like, soon?
That's cool. That's
when
exciting.
we get there, right? It's when we get there.
Well, so that brings me. Okay, so remind me when issue 1 came out. I'm trying to.
Issue 1 was printed in July.
Yeah, because I was thinking it wasn't that long ago.
No. No.
So is this? So you've got the Kickstarter for number 2 going right now. When is that one going to be fulfilled?
We're intending by the end of the year.
End of the year.
End of the
So
year.
is that about the rate you're imagining? Is like 2 a year? Are you imagining like going forward? Is that about the rate you expect them to come out, or?
It depends. I'd like to do 3 a year. I'd like to have like a 4-month turnaround and like have it be at the same 4-month window every time, if possible. Of course, it all depends on a lot of things like my schedule, Marco's schedule, what's on our plates, what's, Comic-Cons that are, because like Comic-Cons happen over the summer a lot. So we might not be able to Kickstarter if we're both on the road. It just depends. You know what I mean? But I would like to get like 3 out a year if we can. If it, we get picked up by a publisher, it could be quicker,
So is that something, is that a goal?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Have you?
We're partnered with Charter Comics right now, which they do like freelance work, and they help a lot of different ways. So, but they're like, hey man, if Image comes a knocking, we'll pat you on the back when you get picked up. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're not going to help me. They're going to help me succeed is what the plan is. So yeah,
I'm unfamiliar with Charter Comics. I don't know.
They're local to Fort Worth.
Oh, cool.
So they're in like Waukegan area. They do like there are a lot of darker comics too, like Don't Pay the Ferryman, Psycho Sal. They're starting a new one called The Nut Brigade, which I'll be writing in there. I'm actually going to be writing 4, 5, and 6 of Psycho Sal, which is really cool. It's a serial killer that's running in New Orleans. Issues 1, 2, and 3 are from the police and like the detectives that find the homicide, and they're trying to figure it out. 4, 5, and 6 are written from the victim's point of view.
Oh.
And then 7, 8, and 9 are written from the serial killer's point of view. So it's the same event, but you get to see all the different aspects of it.
That's a cool idea.
So I'm going to be writing 4, 5, and 6 from the victim point of view.
Very cool.
I'm very excited. The whole, let's see, what is it? A quick death or maybe a reoccurring role? Also, would the backer get some original art themselves? Really thinking about that level. Firehawk, it just depends on what's going on in the next issue. We try to get you into the next issue. We had 2 people that were drawn in as a character where they had lines. Both of them survived. In issue 2, the people that were drawn in as undead outside the walls of Santa Claus. So we have some deaths that are going to be coming up. We have one person that's still on the docket. Original art of themselves. We all work digitally, so I can't really send you original art of yourselves, but you'll be in every single comic. So you'll get to see yourself in there. If you're interested in some original art, we can definitely talk about that because we had that as a reward level in the last Kickstarter. No one jumped on it. But if you're interested, please send me a message through the Kickstarter and we can figure out what you want. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about, let's go even farther back. Tell me about your writing journey. So where did you first, so this wasn't your first thing you wrote, I'm assuming.
No. It's the first thing that we're producing though.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you remember? What's the first creative writing you remember doing?
I wrote a short film for the production company. That catfishing where we just fought for 7 minutes was my first kind of writing adventure. And when that one,
how long ago was that?
2017.
Okay, so not that long ago.
No, I'm new to the game. I've always been creative. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts. Actually, I'm a jeweler.
Oh.
So I have like jewelry fabrication design and blacksmithing is my degree.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I can make weapons. And I wanted to go into like special effects and like movie production. You know what I mean? Like what a workshop, making armor, making weapons. I can do all that stuff. Not so much the sculpting of like the prosthetics and the faces, but like when they were making armor
for Lord of the Rings.
Chainmail, I can do all that. That's fun. What's
Was
that?
was that the dream? Was that the thing?
That was the dream.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's what ended up doing finance for a copy machine company.
Not an easy job to get. No, I remember.
No.
I wanted to be a concept artist for ILM. That was my my
Yeah.
thing, and it's in a finance job. So
How old are you, Gary, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 47. I'll be
Okay,
48.
so I'm
48 in
41.
January.
So I
I'm
think we
sorry?
were just born too early.
Too early? Well, I think
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I was a little too early because when I saw I remember when they announced they were going to do the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
I remember feeling. I think I was still like just in college,
Mhm.
barely, and I was just thinking I missed my shot. This
See
needed
what
to
I
happen
mean?
just a little bit later. This would have
Computer
been.
graphics wasn't even a major, like a full major when I was in art school
No, me
in the
neither.
early 2000s. So if we had been born like 2 years later, it would have been a thing. And then
Yeah.
you could have had a degree in it and you would be living in LA. Well, now you don't even have to live there anymore. It's like
No,
I
it
know
doesn't
people
matter.
that are animators and like graphic designers and like computer stuff.
Oh, I could be doing concept design for video games and for movies,
Right.
and now with
There's
TV.
people in my neighborhood that do that I've met, you know what I mean? That's their primary job and they live here and their studio is in California. So
Though, to be fair, it's less so with you. Like if you're actually doing physical props, I think that's maybe
yeah,
I
you
haven't
probably have
heard
to be
as
at a
much about
studio.
crunch being a problem with that.
Yeah.
But with the digital and the art people, like the people drawing and modeling, sounds like it's kind of a miserable job. It's a
Really?
lot of grind. I guess it's really long hours and there's no predictability with it. Where you might have a job right now working on something, but as soon as that wraps, now you're looking for work. Because I think it's a lot of hiring a bunch of people on for a project and then letting them all go when it's done.
Yeah,
So-
that's the problem is you'd have to be part of a studio, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then do you ever watch the credits for some of those Marvel movies where they have 30
Hundreds of people.
studios hooked up and
Yeah.
they each get a portion of the movie, so the movie would only take 2 years because if one studio got the whole thing, it'd take forever, right?
Right.
So it's kind of you have to market yourself towards these movies where they can bring you on to do a section at a time. I don't know, but I just think if we were a little bit younger, that would be a completely different game for us. Yeah.
Well, and I was slow to adopt digital because, like you said, because of our age, when I was taking art classes in college, it was all charcoal and pencil and ink and paint. Yeah, it was all traditional. It was all studio art classes. And it was years after I graduated where I was like, I guess I got to learn this digital stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
So I'm I run on Procreate. I letter in there. So Marco, I think he works in Adobe, and then he sends me the files and I letter over his work. And then I send it to Charter and they print it. You know what I mean? But it's has to go through a formatting process and blah, 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 blah. So, right. So you have to learn all that. So that way, what's that?
Are you doing the lettering in this?
I do.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's why it's in the first one.
Very nicely done.
Thank you. I'm learning. I'm on my own path for that as well. I think the lettering in the second issue is obviously better than the first issue, but that's, what happens. You grow.
Of course.
So I do the letters. I do the sound effects and the stuff. Most of the time I do it. On this page, I did it on the Kickstarter page. And then Marco did this one because he felt ambitious and he wanted to throw it in there. So that gulp, he did that. But did this one, and then the bear, this is me. So everything in the first issue is me.
Fun.
Marco just forgets that he doesn't have to letter and he does stuff. He's like, I'm gonna take that out. I'm like, no, leave it where it is.
Well, sometimes it makes sense, especially when it's a sound effect or something that's really worked into the drawing. It would make sense that he would do it,
right.
But yeah. I
love this picture.
Cool. Just a off-topic question. What is the picture behind you? This is a vintage port ad.
Ooh.
Forgive the reflection. I always just like the silhouette of it. I'm not a port drinker. I like this era of like 30s liquor ads. Like it's just cool. I don't know. But this actually, since I've moved, I've not found a wall space or a room where these colors, yellow and green, work. So it will probably get donated to Goodwill or something. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Aw.
Yeah, I know. I've had it for 1,000 years. So like most of my attachment to this, like I've always had this picture. But like
1,000 years.
yeah, at least. Yeah. No, I don't know. I probably did buy it like not long after I got my first place and got it,
Wow.
and it's just I've always had it wherever I lived. I just hung it up someplace. And now it's like I don't really have a good spot for it here. And again, the colors are challenging. Yellow and green.
Yeah.
Like what room is that going to go in? Where is that? What's that next to? So it's fine. It's fine. Someone else can enjoy it. But
Aw.
Paul, if you want to pay the shipping, I'll happily send it out to you.
Hey man, score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's see.
Let's see here. Well, we
Oh.
still have to watch your exclusive video.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
wanted to talk about. Okay, so people, real quick, can we put the Kickstarter back up? I'm gonna fly through the rewards just so people can have an idea. We have download this digital copy number 2, $7. Download this and that. Digital copy 1, 2. So that's your catch-up tier. We have $8 zombie starter pack, which is issues number 1 of Path of the Pale Rider, Raise and Avalon, which are other zombie indie comics. So if you are interested in zombie genre, this is for you. Kudos to Brandon, Trey, and Sam who donated their PDFs to the Kickstarter. $10, you can have a physical one. This is just the physical copy of number 2. Has no bells, no whistles. So if you just want the book, there you go. What's
I
that?
want everybody to know that's like a smoking deal. Like $10
$10,
for
yeah.
a physical copy. Like I think people should jump on that. But
Thank you. But no PDF with that one. You've been warned. So the $15 one is where you get like the comic, the digital copy as well, but you get to pick which cover you want. So having to have hold is the main cover, the A cover by Marco DeFillo. Of course, this beauty right here, when he colors stuff, it just comes alive. I don't know why Kickstarter wouldn't put these rewards in alphabetical order. I tried and deleted and put them in, and it kept putting them out of order. So the C cover is the Christmas cover by Marco DeFillo. The B cover by David Rodriguez is this half-dead Jude. His fingers say Dead West, if you didn't notice. That was the original working title of this script until I found out that there's 2 bands and a novel series with that same name. So I've switched.
wow.
Yeah.
3
Didn't want to
other
share
things.
social media.
Wow.
What's that?
3 other things already hit on Dead West.
I was like, wow, there's a lot of things with Dead West. I'm like,
That's
it is kind
weird.
of a cool name, you know? This is actually going to be in color. It's black and white, but Professor Richness is covering it. Professor Rich Parada was an inker for Marvel and DC in the 90s. He did a lot of work on Batman. And as you can see, his inks are fabulous. So he's coloring this. As soon as he finishes, I will be updating the campaign. This is cover D. Cover E is by Ken Salinas, and he does this very cool, like he calls this voodoods. Well, he'll take your character and turn him into a voodoo doll. And he has Big James and Prince there with their stuffing coming out, which is really funny.
That's fun.
I love it. Also, this is one of the t-shirt designs. So if you're interested in a t-shirt, there's this design, and there is this design.
Oh, yes, the hand signals. Yeah.
This means bullshit. Just for
Is that what
everybody
that
who
means?
doesn't. That's what that.
You know what? So this is bull. Is that
This is
the?
bull, and
It
this
makes
is the
sense.
shit coming out of the bull.
Nice.
Bullshit.
I've been watching these and like trying to like. Okay, well now I know. All right.
Yeah. Dude utilizes American Sign Language in this world, so you're going to see him swear at a lot of people with his hands because he thinks it's hilarious, and so do I. So, yeah. So POTPR down here. So that's the other T-shirt design. And then I do choose your own path. I kind of glossed over the net special. The net special is where you start getting signed copies. So this is digital 2, physical 2, and then an additional A cover that is signed by both myself and Marco DeFillo. So if you want the one to put on the shelf that's signed, and then you could open the other one and like smell it and touch it and read it and read it again and solve the
we don't-
riddles, and you know what I
We
mean.
don't talk enough about the smell of comics.
Smell of
Like that's
comics.
something that just isn't. We all do it. And
We
don't
all
talk-
do it. You know, you do it. You smell
You
that
do it.
comic.
Yeah. Okay.
The $40 to choose your own path. So again, the 2 copies, the signed copy, and then the Choose Your Own Path Volume 1 with Marco DeFillo's spread cover. There's a joke in here, Gary. If you close this, if it's mine and Marco's warped sense of humor. So of course the spread cover means it goes on both sides, right? So when you fold the cover, what's the middle of this cover?
Oh wait, so isn't this is this mildly spoilery?
If you understand, don't say it, but understand what happens when you fold this book.
Yes. There's sort of it's kind of a dark wink at people who have read the first issue. I almost said episode 1, but
exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. So it's like when I folded, I was like, "Oh, ha ha!" I was like, "Marco, did you do this on purpose?"
And by the way, I remember you showed me this on Facebook. And it's a great cover. Like that spread with all the little details. It's very cool.
If you zoom in on this, you see so much more. And it's a tribute to how just disastrous it is walking around in this world that you get to experience firsthand. Fun times.
Well, credit to the art, where it's like there's no fear of really just going and pushing it far, and that it shows in there.
Yeah, and I always push them to go farther. They're like this, and I'm like, more. Like, be as gory as you want here, Marco. I'm like, this is kind of like the money shot. It's like this is what people want. That's what they're here for. Right. Insert t-shirt graphic here. I start throwing in keychains at this point. They're going to be some nice keychains that are aluminum with stamped leather, which I will be making myself. But now that you know that I have like a jewelry background, don't be afraid. They're actually going to be nice.
That's cool. Yeah.
Wholesale. This is the immortality one that Firehawk was talking about. So at this point, you start getting all the variants. I can't change this one at this point because, well, actually I could change this one. No one is back this one, but you'll get all the variant covers, including the Ken Salinas one that was released partway through the campaign. So this is like the digital copy, and then all of the variants. You get the t-shirt and the keychain, and then this one we actually will draw you into the comic and then squish you. Metal cover at $100, so you get a metal cover and a physical copy with the regular cover and the keychain. Bones of Despair. This one's a secret one. It says nothing like getting trapped in your bones for eternity. Limited collector item included on top of a copy of the comics and merch. This one's pretty twisted. I don't really want to say too much because it's kind of a surprise, but if you're brave and you want something that's kind of like warped and you can put it on your shelf and show it off, that's what this is. But you can't spoil it and show other people on social media on this one. It's secret.
Very cool. Okay.
Good luck with that. Also gets a t-shirt and a keychain along with all the variants. Funko Pops, this one. So I had a single Funko Pop made for the first campaign that's in a white box. So they're so cool. I had to get one for myself. This is the Jude St. Clair Funko Pop, and that people wanted one. People are like, how do I get one? So I opened it up. So they are pricey to make. I have a guy that does these customs, so that's why the price point is what it is. But you get, digital, physical t-shirt, keychain, and then the Funko Pop. We are in production and making a Big James the Bear Funko Pop, but someone already grabbed the Singularity. So when we do campaign number 3, we'll open that one up for up to 50. So
that's amazing.
It's a bigger Funko Pop than this one because it's the bear.
So you found a guy. Why hasn't Funko? It must be too difficult for them, but it seems like they're leaving money on the table by not allowing you to go on and customize and order a custom Funko, right?
I think they manufacture overseas.
Oh, is that it? So it's
so you'd have to probably order a truck full.
Yeah, you need 500 of them. Yeah.
And I'm not in a position to do that.
No, but I love the idea. And I might want to talk to you offline about who you're using for it.
Oh, he's fabulous.
It looks really good. Yeah.
He does amazing work. He's the sculptor and the painter, and you basically send him, you know, the concept, and he'll go work it from there, and he'll send you pictures. Has great communication. His wife does all the graphics for the box. This looks like a legit Funko box.
That's
You know what I
awesome.
mean?
Yeah, no,
And then look what he did for the back.
Yeah, it looks real. Oh wow.
He put the
That's
A cover
awesome.
on the back for me. So on the big James bear, we're gonna have the A cover from issue 2 on the back.
I hope you're bringing that with you to the con.
I can, yes, that's a great idea.
Because I can tell you, I've tabled with people where they've had like a couple 3D printed toys in a box. It looks legit, looks like that, like something you could buy in a store. I can tell you, never sold one, but everyone comes to look at it, and then you've got them at the table.
That you got them at the
and
table.
then you can sell them other things.
Well, my Kickstarter is going to be live while I'm there.
Yeah.
So
I strongly recommend you put that on your table.
Thank you. I will take that suggestion. Absolutely.
And just tell them, like, unfortunately, this one, just lie. Tell people it's sold out. This is the only one left. I'm not selling it, but at least it gets them over, you know?
Yeah. This one is not for sale. It's actually my personal one for sure.
Yeah.
But they can go get the same exact one, just in an orange box off the Kickstarter, if that's what they're interested in. And then they're going to see the price and faint.
But then they'll say, like, you know what? After they look at that price, they're like, I can definitely do $20 or something. And then,
right.
You know,
or 15. 15 is what the comic is at. Or if you want to spend a little more, my recommendation is get the Choose Your Own Adventure, because that one is one hell of a ride. So, yeah. So anyway, that's the Kickstarter, everything kind of there. And then, of course, everybody always has stretch goals. So I already mentioned at 100 backers, we're going to release the blooper reel to the conspiracy theory video, and it's freaking funny. At 5,000, which is not very far away from our first goal. First goal is 4,550, so it's less than $500 to the $500 or 5,000, excuse me. And then I'm going to throw in a 5x7 print of this Big James splash page for everybody, which is such a nice splash page. Like when he did it, I was just like amazed. I know the next one says 65, but I actually dropped 2 of the bigger ones down to 6,000. So I updated the stretch goal from 12K and from 15K. They're both down to 6,000. So what I was going to do is put on a nice dress and smash pumpkins on Halloween.
Which is, I just laugh every time I hear you say that. It's just such a funny, like, it's so random and I love it. Like, decided I'm going to put on a red dress and heels and go smash pumpkins. It's like, what? Okay. Yeah. So is that the video we have down here?
Yeah. Will you play the video?
Should we watch the video?
Yes, please.
All right, let's do it. Wow.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
Wow. That's a good tease. All right. Well, there you go.
Smash some pumpkins, people. This is totally doable.
Yeah.
And then
you seem like you're in a pretty good position, right? I mean,
I mean, we finished at 5,200 last time. And that was before, you know, we had more of a fandom. So
yeah, I mean, nobody even knew, right?
Yeah. I mean, the goal is
and I've never done one, but my understanding is you get probably a lot of activity the first day or two.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot at the end when it's like time's running out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually, so here's what happened in the last campaign. Day 1, day 2, you know, it's basically like right out of the gate. And then like the first week, that's kind of where you get a lot of activity. It kind of trickles in until about a week. And then like second week and third week, you're pretty much like 1 backer a day, 2 backers a day. So it slows down considerably, right? Yeah. And then like right around 10 days, it starts to pick back up. And then the last 2 days is like skyrocket again. So we're actually, I can't remember the percentage, but we're quite a bit ahead of where we were last campaign.
It seems like it's very comfortable. Like, so now talking, my frame of reference with Kickstarters is talking to mostly the Making Comics guys, Scott and Keith, about theirs. And they talk often about how it's irresistible, like first thing in the morning, you're like looking at that Kickstarter. And then
Kickstarter.
15 minutes later, you're looking at that Kickstarter. Like it's this kind of
Kickstarter.
compulsive, like where are we at?
Kickstarter.
How well are you managing that temptation?
It's always that way in the beginning because that's when all the action happens. So you're like, ooh, let's get an update. Ooh, let's get an update. And then it's like you have to stop yourself from doing it because when it starts to slow down, it almost feels bad when you go in and there's no update and you go again and there's no update. It's like it makes you feel bad. And you that's exactly what happens every time. So you cannot look at it all the time because it's discouraging.
Yes.
But so yeah, you have to kind of manage that. So every now and again, I'll look and be like, oh, we got like 3 backers, like hooray, you know what I mean? Or like a lot of times, like I'll do a show and I'll check it after the show. So then I could be like, hey Gary, you know, your guys really came out today. Thank you so much. You know, I got 4 new backers. You know what I mean? So there's key times when you're going to look at it and that's useful too, to know how effective your marketing is. You know what I mean? Like when I dropped the Ken Salinas cover, his people were all up in there, like back. And I was like, see, this is why we hire people like Ken to get more eyes on the project. And he's wonderful. So if you ever want a Voodoo's cover, talk to Ken. Absolutely.
Variant covers seem to be a good way to draw in other circles of fans, you know, because they might not know anything about you or anything about your comic, but they're devoted to that guy, you know, so it's like, oh, well, I got to get his book.
Yeah, and that's verbatim what some guy did. He went back to, he was like, I have no idea what this comic is about, but it's rad. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, my name's Laurie, I'm the writer. This is what it's about. If you like these other things, you like this too. And he was like, I like all those things. I'm like, right on, dude. Then found us and now you're at home. You know what I mean? He never would have found us if it wasn't for Ken Salinas and being like, I did a cover for Path of the Pale Rider. Go check it out, guys. You know? So it's amazing. It's amazing to build the community, like find people that are gung-ho about your project. And like Ken, of course, you know, was excited to do that. But then I was like, hey, did you see our video? Hey, did you check out our riddle? And he was like, you do all these cool things? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, that's freaking out, you know? And so now he's part of the fandom, you know? So it's cool. It's just, you got to go talk to people.
Well, and that's another part that we didn't even talk about was you're very active, like showing up on these shows, but you're also very active. People aren't following you on Facebook and Instagram and all these different places. You're very active building kind of a community around Path of the Pale Rider. Like there's a lot of like, there's sort of a, you're really building a fan community that's really like engaged.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool to see as well. Now, how did that just sort of naturally arise? Did that seem like the natural thing to do, or were you seeing other creators do that, or where did that come from?
That came from the idea that I wanted to explore other medium and I wanted the fans to be able to experience things that are outside of the comic books. So that's where it kind of started with the fan experience side. Like the Path of the Pale Rider group, I was always like, we need to have a place where I can communicate with people and have fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I want people to see like my sense of humor. Like I want to go smash pumpkins and, you know what I mean? In a dress with a sledgehammer because it's hilarious. You know what I mean? And like what other comic book creator is doing that right now? Like, let's bring back the Gallagher channel, shall we? You know, what other comic book creator is doing things like riddles right now that send you on a rabbit, you know, down a rabbit hole into Alice in Wonderland, where it's like, it might give you a phone number to call. It might trigger something where you get to interact with the character. I just want to set myself apart, and that's kind of the way I wanted to do it. But I also wanted to make sure that the fans got the best. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing it for you guys, so that way you can have a great experience. If you just want to read the comic, power you. That's the death, crime, destruction, the meat and potatoes. That's the main story, right? But if you want to have more fun, you want to solve the riddles, you want to see what it leads to. I mean, do you want to be part of the short films? You can. Those were all people that, you know, could be part of the short films.
I think I saw the casting call. I think I might have seen it.
Then why didn't you participate, Gary?
Well, you know, I'm also making a comic. So that's mostly.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I did, but you know what? I honestly did think about it. I did think like, I wonder if I could record something real quick. And I was like, I gotta, you know, like I'm enjoying
that was the hardest part, I think. Is that people were like, I don't know what to say. What do
knew
I
I'd come
say,
up with
Lori?
something, but yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, next time. I got
That's
you next
cool.
time.
Well, they're always changing. So, like, the next one we're gonna do is a short film, and it's a scary one. I do need people in it, but I only need like 4 or 5. You can still be remote, or you can be local. Depends. But I need people to be able to follow instructions because I'm looking for something very specific. So, like last one, I was not specific. I was like, you could say something crazy. Just tell me a conspiracy theory about
just come up with
anything.
something. Yeah.
Right. McDonald's, sugar, government, nanotech, technology, you know, and cats, anything. There's a line, you don't have to talk, but you have to be able to follow my instructions to a T because everybody's doing the same thing. So they all have to look like it's the same. You know what I mean? So if it's something that people are interested in, yeah, like your camera angle has to be this. I will give you instructions of what you have to act out in that video.
I got it.
It's very specific. So
I see.
Oh, do you want to see the teaser for that one? I could upload it real quick.
Sure, if you've got something. Yeah.
I think you've seen it.
Maybe I have. I mean, I know I follow you in the places. So let's see. I love it. I'm intrigued. I haven't seen that yet.
No.
No.
I'm reading Paul's comments right now. It's really funny. Page of the Paul writer.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you could be a zombie with 0 makeup. Absolutely, you can. Thank you, Paul. So yeah, so I have lots of things planned. And now I finally have the time to do it now that I left my job and my kids are both in school. So it's like in between when I'm not Kickstartering and doing like a promotional tour, that's where I'm going to be spending a lot of my time. Like I'm almost done with that second arc. When I get that one done, I'm going to be spending a lot of time building the universe and making content. So
yeah, because you're going to get to a point, it seems like very soon, where you will have written all the stuff.
Well, I'm going to be at a really good spot. We're going to be at like 26 issues.
Yeah, but then there's like you're going to be done well before it's all out and drawn. So drawn and out. So in between, there'll be a point where you've written everything. There's nothing left to write. Is that when you'll move on to like, okay, choose your own adventures and the community and like what do you think? Is there another project in your future or what?
Well, like I'm writing things from like Charter, so like Psycho Sal and Up Brigade, possibly Red Redemption. We'll see about that one. So I'm going to be having other things to write that are outside of my own creations, but I have other things that I have written that are actually pretty close to being done. Or if I probably just need like a quick adjustment or rewrite. I did write this series for the production company that was intended to be a web series, and it's 12 issues. Each arc is 6 issues, so it's 6 and then 6. And that one is called The Agency, and it's like spies and conspiracy. It's more not a lot of conspiracy theories. It's a lot different than this one. It's very heavy martial arts and lots of really good fights and great twists, like sabotage and espionage and all like the spy games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that one. We could move on to that one. I do have a supernatural superhero kind of that I started writing. I wrote the prologue to that and it was so terrifying. I put it down. And I have that one in my head, like a lot of it. So I could flesh that one out and we can see what other ideas come out of my warped brain. But yeah, the farther you go, you're going to see like, man, she really messed up.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sometimes I read stuff I wrote. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to let people read this. But
I know people are going to like, they're judging me.
Paul wants to know if you've gotten any fan art.
I have not yet. I would love to get fan art. And in fact, like I would love to put it in the back of the comic and like whatever issue we're on just to have like promote fan art. Absolutely. But most of the time people are like, hey, Laurie, I'll work for you. You want to pay me? And I'm like, I love you, but I'm not made of money. Like,
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
Do you
I'm
wanna
already
do
paying enough people. I can't do
right.
that.
Like
Yeah.
I'm paying people. We're Kickstartering for our funds. Like,
Yeah.
I love you. Your art is beautiful. If I ever need you, please let's, keep our phones connected. Like, let's stay connected. But at this point, like, I can't afford to bring on, additional
Right.
bodies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul Pate, if you want to do some fan art and send it my way.
Yeah. Paul, by the
promote your
way,
comic.
for anyone who's not already following him on YouTube, Paul Pate Animation. He just posted an animated short. It was a lot of fun to watch, had a lot of fun visual creativity to it. And this is something, in my opinion, like sometimes you'll see a little animated sequence that someone puts up. Well, sometimes, sadly, there's no good ideas. Once in a while, there's one good idea where it's like, oh, that's cool. I've never seen that before. His had several. I was impressed.
Wow.
Or like throughout, I was like, oh, that's a neat. I don't think I've seen that before. I don't think I've seen that before. Like it was very creative, fun to watch, silly at times, gross at times. It's really, so go check out Paul Pate Animation and watch his latest video.
I want to talk to you, Paul, because I want that bear chase from issue number 1 to be animated.
There we go.
That would be, excuse my language, but that would be fucking cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. Well, Paul might be able to fix it. Who knows? I don't know what Paul's deal is with commissions, but he's a talented animator.
That would be really cool. I could use it as a promo.
Talk
to me, sir. Talk to me, sir.
Kickstarter number 3.
God, that would be so cool. You know what I mean? Just as anywhere, anytime. Like put that out there and be like, look.
So before we get to the most important thing today, which is your top 5 fast food picks.
Oh yeah, I figured out 3.
Is there anything else that you want to make sure the audience knows before we go? Is there anything about Path of the Pale Rider, about the Kickstarter, about you, whatever? Anything that we didn't address that you want to get out there?
I think we covered a lot. Just to kind of sum it up, I'm an uber nerd. I love to have fun. I like to swear and be sarcastic and play Fallout, and it all shows up in my comic. You'll see references to all sorts of stuff. Even in the first issue, we reference DC Comics, we reference Star Wars, we reference Lethal Weapon. You're going to see Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You're going to see all sorts of stuff.
Which Fallout are you playing?
I prefer to play Fallout 4 right now. I keep playing and replaying that, but New Vegas is a favorite of mine as well.
New Vegas is, as far as Fallouts go, it's
New Vegas and then Fallout 4 are right there the same. I like to play All of Us. I like to play Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption that's one. I think I picked it up. The second one. I played through the first one and loved it. Picked up the second one, and I think it was. I'd have to check when it came out. I know I was right in the middle of drawing a comic, so I just couldn't. And I sat and played it for one evening, and realized like this is awesome, and I know I have nowhere near enough time to be playing this. Like this, it just was so deep and so involved, and like every little thing you did took like an hour and a half. Where I was like, I just can't do this now. And it's just been sitting, and I think about it probably once a week. Like I still have to play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, it's cool. I love that game.
My
kids love Fallout though, which makes me laugh. So they're like, "Mom, can we watch you play Fallout?" I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "Are we hunting death claws or are we gonna go find bobbleheads? Where are we going?"
Right.
Like
bobbleheads. I want the bobbleheads. Yeah. No, Fallout is great. Fallout is.
But then you get all the bobbleheads, and I know what's going on in the chat. Something Paul said, punch in the nuts, and then he says,
punch in the nuts is a reference to his animation. It was one of the silly moments. I don't want to spoil anything, but someone gets punched in the nuts, and there is a totally gratuitous like undulation. Like you remember that video of the fat guy stopping a cannonball with his stomach? It's kind of like that. Like this guy gets punched in the nuts, and it's like this horrible undulation that's happening. And that was one of the things I meant, where I was like, I've never seen that before. Like that's different. So that was pretty good. So but then Paul talking about how he hates money, and so I don't know if that means that he works for free. I don't know what that means. And then
he works for baked goods because I can bake like a mofo.
There you go, Paul. You could get some overnighted cookies or something.
There you go.
But-
Cookies, macaroons, pie,
Oh, macaroons.
bread.
There you go.
Yeah, macaroons, man.
There
I
you
made
go.
these ones for a brunch, and it was like it was a vanilla cookie, but the inside was dark chocolate and wine ganache. It was like a red wine dark chocolate ganache. They were so good.
That sounds amazing.
All gone. So
Macarons are that's a little trick. That's a finessey thing to make. It's not.
they're very difficult, and it it has to do with your specific oven and your specific cookie sheets. It's not like you can be like, cook it at this time at this temperature for this amount of time. It's different for everybody depending on the nuances of your oven and like what kind of cookie sheets you use and how big you make them. It's so difficult, but I have figured out cookies.
You found Paul's weak point.
You got it, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll send you some macaroons, buddy.
We're brokering a deal right now.
Animation for macaroons.
Animation for baking. That's kind of like a barter system. It's very post-apocalyptic.
I love to barter. Right.
So, okay. Give me your top 5 fast food items in order if you can, 5 to 1, but I'm not going to hold you to that. Just rattle them off.
All right. So can I go by categories? Burger's great. You know, we have to like say burger points, right? And I had to go with the Whopper. I had to. There's something about getting a flame broiled burger with all the stuff on it. It's so juicy. It just comes out all over the place. Yeah. But it's a big old burger. It's just blah, 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 blah.
That is definitely a part of the Whopper experience, it going all over the place, isn't it?
But it just does.
The Whopper, I have to say, of all the fast food places out there, and I can't reveal my choices for my top 5 because that's
right, because that's another show.
I think Burger King consistently has like the freshest stuff on their burgers, right? The lettuce is always crisp, the tomatoes are always decent. Like it's good. They always deliver there, and that's part of the Whopper experience is it just you ending up with a salad on the wrapper afterward. Okay.
Right. And just mayo everywhere. So if I would do burger, I would get a Whopper hands down. And I mean, like I'm choosing like actual fast food. Like you can go to a restaurant. There's a place, Red Hat in Michigan, back up, sir. Michigan people, Red Hat. Their burger is by far the most delicious thing I've ever had. There's zip sauce and it comes with a fried egg on it. Like, but that's not fast food to me. If you sit down in the restaurant, you're gonna pay $20, right?
But nothing beats a fried egg on a burger. People who haven't had that.
So good. Fried egg and goat cheese.
Oh,
amazing.
Fancy. Not bad.
Have
you had now just hang on, stay with me here if this is shocking to you if you haven't had it. Have you had the pleasure of peanut butter and bacon on
You better not say peanut butter.
I know it's crazy. I know everybody.
Crazy.
Someone's out there. I was you and I was wrong. Like it's amazing.
Why?
I can't explain it. But it's amazing.
God.
It's actually worth
I will never say no. Peanut butter, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty innocuous. I could try that. It's just a weird combination.
I know.
So you wouldn't think of it. But you know what? I've had weirder combinations of things. So
here's how you baby step into it. Just make yourself a peanut butter and bacon sandwich. Just that. Peanut butter and bacon. Something about the salty and the fatty with the peanut butter is just you'll be surprised. Now, if you like that, then you can graduate to peanut butter and bacon on a burger. But at least try the sandwich first and see how that goes. All right.
I mean, I like candied bacon, and I had these amazing. Speaking of French fries, like fast food French fries, I'm gonna go curly fries from Arby's. Like the real tight curls.
Yeah.
With the seasoning on it, amazing. It's making my mouth water just thinking about it.
This was a big debate for doing the top 5. There was a big Jack in the Box versus Arby's curly fry debate.
Ooh. You know who else has curly fries?
Who?
Sonic.
Oh,
but if you go to Sonic, you better get those tater tots because that's where it's at.
You gotta get tots at Sonic. You know what Sonic used to have? And see, you're in Texas. You'll appreciate this. Other parts of the country, I don't know. They'll be like, ugh. Sonic briefly, and it was a regional thing. They had fried jalapeno strips where they would sliver jalapenos long. Do you remember these? And bread them in like a corn batter It was like this
Really?
crazy, yeah, and fry them. And so it looked like a weird chunky fry, but it was a strip of jalapeno and like a cornbread batter.
Yeah. Yeah, because they do corn dogs there, so that makes sense.
So good. So good. And they had them for like 6 months, and then like, yeah, nobody wants these. They were spicy. They were, oh, it was fantastic. Fantastic.
I
Anyway,
wasn't
okay.
in Texas growing up.
What's
I
that?
just remember I wasn't here we just moved here in
Oh,
2019.
that's
So I'm not
right.
like,
That's
so
right.
all that stuff that happened in Texas before wasn't here. So
You weren't there. Wait, now how recently did you move to Texas?
2019.
When was the big freeze? When was that?
Oh, that was it wasn't last year, it was the year before.
Okay, so you
2020.
were there for that.
Oh yeah, we were here. We had rolling blackouts for 5 days. That was fun.
Wow.
It's like, no, we didn't have a Michigan winter, but god damn it. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
It's like,
Maybe your response, maybe you kind of brought it in a weird way. Like,
yeah, it's like,
I don't know. Okay, so you got
Anyway.
curly fries from Arby's. You got a Burger King Whopper. What else?
yeah. Tacos. Do we consider Chipotle fast food?
I think no, but I'll allow it since this isn't an official top 5. For top 5, we were saying no fast casual.
Okay. Well,
had to
okay.
be
In that
like-
case, I could change it to
basically
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell? Okay.
Taco Bell. Well, just because I grew up in Michigan, we didn't have a ton of taco places
Yeah.
in Michigan. Like we didn't have Del Taco or anything else. It's just
So just
Taco
the
Bell.
normal, like crispy, like the crunchy.
No,
like-
I'm going flat burrito supreme. It has all the things in it.
Oh.
It has
Burrito
like the beans and
Supreme.
rice,
All
meat,
right.
sour cream, nacho cheese, all of it. All of it. I want all of it in the burrito. Yeah.
Yes.
But with just the regular meat, not the chicken one. I don't like the chicken.
No, the Taco Bell chicken's weird.
Isn't it? Okay. That's not
In
just
my
me.
opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I mean, the
Yeah.
beef is weird too. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. The beef
it's
is
a weird
like,
I can deal with. Like I feel like, yeah, the Taco Bell chicken is, I don't know. I don't know
it's
what
weird. It almost has like a weird texture to it. You know what I mean?
it's kind of got a weird rubbery thing
Yes.
that I don't. Yeah.
I'm with you. And that's why you don't choose a chicken at Taco Bell. But it's not like you're eating anything much better with the beef. But it's still, I don't know.
No.
It's just not a texture thing.
It's not like, but you know what? It's somehow you've got acquainted. Like I had this conversation with someone a year or two ago. Like there's nothing about a McDonald's cheeseburger that is anything like any cheeseburger in the world.
No.
But you've had it
But
since
we're
you were
used to
6,
it.
so it's fine. You know, like and that's kind of what like Taco Bell beef is like for me. It's like this is
Yeah.
nothing like any beef I've ever had, but okay. You know.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like we're used to it. So it's all right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Fried chicken, I'm gonna go Southern. I'm gonna say Cane's chicken. Cane's
Anything
chicken,
specific?
all
You
they
doing the
do at
tenders?
Cane's is fried chicken fingers. Like if you've never been to a Cane's, it's it. They don't serve
That's it.
anything else. Fried
That's it.
chicken, French fries, and bread, like Texas toast bread.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can get
Chris
it in any
Ward
combination
is-
you want.
My friend Chris is gonna be guesting on top 5. We were talking about
Means
fast food
chicken.
places. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
behind the scenes conversation about this. And he was talking about how as a kid he didn't like Kentucky Fried Chicken because he was kind of a baby and he didn't want any meat with bones in it. You know, like
Oh.
he wanted like, and this was before tenders were even a thing when we were
Yeah.
kids. Like it was always if you were getting a drumstick or a breast or something like that. And he was talking about how, unlike today, where Cane's is like the entire menu is a kid's menu. It's
Pretty
all
much.
like the very easiest. Yeah, that's a good way to think of Cane's. It's like the kids' menu is the menu. You know?
Right. And it's actually ingenious because there isn't like 7 million moving parts. I'm sure their people are like very well trained because that's you're gonna have to answer for that.
Yes.
I can't help you there.
I know. I understand. Just go, everybody. This is your
I
homework.
mean, you can try.
Peanut butter
You
and
gotta
bacon
try
sandwich.
it.
Try a peanut butter and bacon sandwich. I guarantee you'll love it. Okay.
You know, I had this friend. They were called umami fries from this place in downtown Northville. This little, they called it what do they call it? Bar lore. It's an ice cream parlor with a kitchen, but it also served drinks. And their ice cream they had some alcoholic ice cream as well. So they called it a bar
Nice.
lore. So their big draw was the ice cream, but like they had a small menu and they had these things called umami fries. And I'm trying to remember what was all. It was Parmesan cheese,
Mhm.
Chocolate sauce,
I don't know now. I don't know.
chili powder, and I think there was truffle something.
There's too much there. Too
It
much is
was
happening.
really good.
Really?
I
See,
was like,
the
I'm
chocolate
gonna-
and chili sauce, I can see that
It
because
was like
spicy chocolate's
sweet,
amazing.
spicy.
But then
It hit like all the groups of taste buds.
wow, there's a mad scientist in the kitchen there.
Yeah,
There's a
and I don't
real-
even know how you figure out like how much to put on, because it's like you can't
Yeah.
have too much chocolate because then it's too much. It's like you can't have too much truffle, it's too much. You can't have too much.
Yeah.
But they figured it out, and it was
There was
like
some
it was the
terrible
weirdest
trial and
experience.
error in that place, like where people were tasting stuff that was just
You're
inedible.
like, try this.
Yeah. How about this?
Yeah. What
We
if I
did a
put
little
too
more
much,
chocolate with this
little
one. How's
less
that?
chocolate?
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
right. Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing
I mean,
I've
I
ever
would
had.
try it. I'm open-minded. Like I'll try anything, but that's shocking to me. Yeah.
It was really good. And I was so surprised because someone was like, have you tried these? And I was like, no. They're like, you need it. I'll order them and you try them. And then you can tell me if you like
Yeah.
it. But I think they're amazing. And I was like, well, I'll try anything when it comes to food. So I was just like, these are amazing. Can I have an order of these? I want an order of these
Yeah.
right now. You know what I
Look-
mean?
Look, just to add another data point to peanut butter and bacon on a burger, there's a fancy, like a hipster hot dog place here in Phoenix called Short Leash Hot Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a hot dog that's wrapped in bacon that they spread peanut butter on top. And that also is amazing.
Blows my mind. But I mean,
I know,
like I
I
said,
know.
I'll try it.
I get it. Like I said, I was the same. I was I'd see people order this. It's like, that's a stunt. Get that hipster shit out of my face. I don't want it. And then finally I was like, okay, I'll try a bite. I'll try it. And that's all it took. I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah.
I ran out of categories. What's the last category that we can pick here? And I'll pick
Well,
something.
let's see. You did fries, you did burger, you did Mexican, you did chicken. What about breakfast stuff?
Breakfast. I'm going to go Sonic.
Or dessert. I'll give you your choice.
Ooh,
You want to do
dessert.
fast food dessert or fast food breakfast?
I don't like fast food dessert.
Neither do I. With one exception, which I'm saving for my top five.
Okay.
But yeah.
I really don't like fast food dessert. It doesn't do it for me. So I'll go, what was the other one? Breakfast.
Yeah.
Sonic's breakfast burritos are amazing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Intriguing.
Yeah, they have some great stuff, and like same thing. Like I love a good burrito that has just everything in it. Like has hash brown, eggs and cheese and meat, and wrap it all up in a nice warm burrito.
Nice.
I
No,
would
that's
give me a
always
hot
breakfast
coffee with
burrito is
it.
always a good save. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm starving. I'm so hungry right
Did this
now.
help? Did this get you going? You're like, okay, yeah, all right.
I'm like,
good.
what's for dinner?
Now,
this shakes
I think I'm going to do
dessert.
the same thing. I was like, well, I probably need to go get something
Starving.
to eat. But all right. Well, Laurie, this was a ton of fun. I'm glad we have never really
Yeah.
talked. Like I've seen you on shows and we've talked on
Cool.
Facebook, but this is the first time we really got to talk.
I didn't even think
face-to-face.
about it. I was just like, Gary, I feel like I've been on your show before, but I really haven't.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
was
no,
like-
it's like I felt I actually just now with this kind of back half of the live streams while I'm drawing, I was like, I'd always wanted to start bringing guests on, and I just always got,
Busy.
I don't know. You gotta make the choice. It's like I gotta start scheduling,
Yes.
And so now I'm doing it, and it was one of those ones that's like, oh, of course. Like when you approached me, I was like, oh yeah. I didn't think. Yeah. So that.
And that was the
glad
same
we
thing.
did.
Like I've been on Gary's show, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, Gary's show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been on Gary's show. I was like, Gary. I was like,
There we go.
can I come on your show? You're like, yeah.
Of course, yeah. No, this was great. I had a good time. I think, and I hope that at least you get a couple more backers out of this.
Well, I think Kevin said that he backed while we were.
Yeah,
on
I think,
there, so-
or Keith or somebody.
Keith?
Yeah,
Keith?
I thought I saw a few people like intrigued. So
Yep, someone backed because we're at 70. We were at 69.
there we go.
So,
So yes, and everyone, if you're watching on whether right now or on the replay, the link to the Kickstarter is in the description. There's lots of levels. Some are very, very reasonable, very, very low. And you can get, like I mentioned when we were going over it, the threshold to get a print copy is lower than most. So if you're like me and you want, you're not into digital, you like physical, like it's very attainable, where sometimes you'll see Kickstarters where it's like $20-$25. It's getting up there before you
$40
get
bucks.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like
sometimes it's a
40
lot. Like
bucks.
they're, which I get. You're pushing people toward the PDF because it doesn't really cost you. You know, like I
Right.
get it. But
I
again,
want
if
that
you're like
physical copy
me,
too.
I want a book. Like I want
Yeah.
a physical, you know, so yeah. So cool. All
Oh
right.
wait,
Yes. What do you got there? Oh, that's
hot
right.
sauce.
So what is the deal with that? I saw that on your Facebook. What's going on with
With
that?
my buddy Chris. So my buddy Chris Brown, he writes comics and he also does board games, but he's like a jack of all trade. So he does Slaughterville, and like he does new cards. So Slaughterville is a tabletop game, and you go through this town, and there's like the B version of everybody's worst nightmares in there. So like instead of Freddy Krueger, they have like Knife Finger Man, Knife Finger Dreamwalker, or something like that, or like instead of Candyman, it's like B Man, something like that, right? So you can go battle all these characters from your favorite horror slasher films or like scary movies. And so like just recently he had these promotional cards. I'm in his board game now. So like there's one where you can
Oh.
put on the disc that we were in the comic, and it's me cosplaying as my characters with a disc on. So it's like if you get that card, that's really me in that picture.
That's
and then
fun.
he has one of Big James. So I sent him this graphic of Big James, right? And he was like, I'm making hot sauce. And he was showing me because his partner, Ben, is in business partner. He's married. Is a business partner named Ben that's in like all the pictures. And then he like put hats on him, like Viking hats. And like he just dresses them up in the pictures. And it's really funny. And he was like, hey, can I do a ghost pepper one that's called Path of the Pale Sauce? And I was like, yeah. So he's like, can I use this graphic of Big James you sent me? I'm like, absolutely, do it.
Please.
So then he comes up with this. He's like, hey, I'm sending you a package. And I was like, woohoo. So
That's
I got Path
awesome.
of the Pale
So
Sauce.
have you tried it yet?
I don't think I'm brave enough to, man. It's ghost
Really?
pepper sauce. I'm not doing it.
I love me some hot sauce. So I'm
He has more of this. So if you're interested, he has samples. Yeah. So I told him, I was like, I'll let
tell
people
me,
know where to find
message me like where I need to, like how I need to go about doing that. Because
I want people to come on my show on Tuesday and try it. Someone needs to try it on the live stream so I can see how hot it is.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good, yeah, you
Everybody's
absolutely
like,
should.
do you have extra? I'm like, no, he only sent me one. I'm keeping it. It's mine. Like, if
Yeah,
you want one, you got to
right.
talk to Chris.
Yeah, keep it forever. Like that's, yeah, now you kind of can't, you need two because you can't open that one. That's, you gotta
Well,
keep it
I can't eat hot food.
oh, are you not? Okay, well there you go.
I don't have a gallbladder.
Neither do I.
I don't have bye-bye, but I
Neither do
can't.
I.
I can't. How do you eat spicy food and not die, Gary?
Look, some
You're
things
like,
are worth it. Some things are worth it. No, actually, I don't know. It didn't affect that for me. I don't know. I guess I lucked out because I hear about some people who had their gallbladder removed and they have a lot of like, you know, they have to be very careful with certain things. That's I guess I was lucky in that regard.
I can't. And I used to love spicy food, and I can't.
Oh.
It hurts. It's painful.
That's
so,
heartbreaking because I
yeah.
love spicy food. No, I can't, I don't know, this is getting older. Like I can't push it as far as I used to. Like I remember I used to eat like crazy spicy stuff and it was fine.
Thai food.
Yeah, now I have to be kind of careful and I
Mhm.
can't, like it's old man stuff. It's like I do it, it's like, well, I can't go to bed for 6 hours because
Right.
you know, like it's like I need to, yeah, right.
Eat it for lunch, not dinner.
Yes, yeah, right. Breakfast maybe, but yeah, dinner absolutely not. No, it can't be.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, like my friends and I, we just have fun. And he's like, "Can I use Big James?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can use Big James for your marketing. It's cool." You know. So I was like, "I just want to make sure that I get one." He's like, "Of course, I'm going to send you one." So I'm like, "Okay, I got my bottle, I got my bragging rights, and now everybody else can have one, whatever."
Yeah. No, I'm interested. Like I said, I'll reach out to you and figure out like how is there a bottle available and how do I get it? So
Right. I know he has extra because I asked him. I was like, "Do you have more of these?" He's like, "Yeah, I have a few samples left." And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, because I'm sure I'm going to post it and people are going to want some. And if that question comes up, can I send them to you? He's like, "Yeah." I'm like,
all right.
Okay.
All right.
Cool, man. And if people really want that, we'll throw it on the next Kickstarter.
Yeah, you should. I mean, why not?
It'd be like,
I think
Chris.
that stuff is fun, you know. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm usually just looking for the book. But when I see things, it's an opportunity to get weird little you know,
Yeah.
it's like, that's fun. That's
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And we like to think outside the box. So
Yeah.
good
Okay.
times.
Well, thanks
Be
again for
well.
coming by. And
Yeah.
good luck with the Kickstarter. It
Thank
seems like it's
you.
going well, and it sounds like, you know, you're going to definitely clear the finish line. So that's exciting. I'm excited to
Yes.
read issue 2.
Thank
So,
you. Oh, it's a doozy. I say that about everyone, but oh my gosh, it's like I'm so excited for people to get further into the story because we develop things and it's like you find out a little more and you get to see Jude do some crazy things and
Yeah.
sarcasm and swearing and it's a fun time. It's a fun
I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it unfolds. I really did enjoy the first one. So I'm interested. I'm hooked. So
thank you. Yeah, come along for the ride, guys. Don't forget to come back me and join in the shenanigans, and I'll see you guys again soon.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, have a good, productive weekend, guys, and I will see you Saturday morning, 11 a.m. with Keith Foster of Kadoja and Three Protectors fame. Or not Three. Did I get that name right? At least we'll say Kadoja. I suddenly had a doubt. Is that the title? I don't know. Yeah, anyway, so
yes,
I will
yes.
see you all next week. Bye, Laurie. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.